Case number 88 on the calendar in the matter of Whiteacre versus Wells. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Whiteacre, was the defendant a boyfriend of yours who was living in your house?
Yes, he was.
How long did he live in your house?
About 4 months.
And you were living with your parents?
Yes.
And your claim is that he ran up some bills while he was living there.
Correct.
And in addition to the bills, you also have an IOU that he signed.
Correct.
The defendant says, he doesn't talk much about the bills in his answer, but he says he was forced to sign the IOU under duress. So first, let me take a look at the bills. Then let me take a look at the IOU. You're going to tell me a little bit about why he came to live with you and what the bills were for. And then I'm going to hear all about the duress.
Everything.
Can you tell me why he came to live in your house?
He came to live with us 17th of October in 2001. We had been dating when we both lived in Seattle. I had to return home to California, and he had to return to Syracuse. We had been communicating in between then, letters, emails, phone calls, and we both thought that each other was the right one.
You both thought what?
Each other was the right one. And, well, we aren't, but...
Go ahead.
Okay, and so he came to live with me, and it was only supposed to have been until about the middle of January. Things had deteriorated so much by then that he moved out the next month.
And while he was there, what kind of bills did he run up?
When he arrived, he had virtually no clothes. I ended up taking him to Mervyn's, and he spent about $150 there on clothing for work.
Well, what did you tell him about that expenditure?
When he came to me and said, would it be all right if I went and got some clothes and used your credit card? I'll take over the payments. And I said, well, I actually owe some money on my credit card, so why don't you just give me the money? And he said, okay.
And he never gave you the money?
He ended up giving me about $150 of what he owed, and that's it, in 2 payments.
All right, well, what else? Because I see a lot of little charges here.
$15,
$3.57.
He actually paid some of that money.
Well, what didn't he pay?
He paid 2 things virtually when they were put on my credit card. One was his cell phone bill, which was $53, and another one he gave me partial amounts of money, the $80 for cable internet bill, I believe.
What's $103 in interest?
That's how much interest. He's been accruing this interest more or less since October.
I'm going to read something to you. I, Seth Q. Wells, do agree to pay Summer Whiteacre $343.17 in credit card charges, and then you crossed out, I assume you crossed out, I do further agree to pay 6% interest calculated each month until the end of April, when the above debt will be paid in full. Did you cross out the interest part? Take a look.
No, she crossed that out. I did
Okay.
not cross it out.
Okay, there's your signature.
Yes, it is.
Then here we go, sir. It's your turn. Talk to me about this duress.
Basically, she was in the process of taking me, she was moving the last of my stuff to my new apartment. And we had been discussing the relationship and the end of the relationship. And it basically got to the point where she was really upset and out of control. Like, literally, I was not...
Explain to me out of control.
Basically, she was crying and yelling at me, saying that it was, I needed to accept my part of the responsibility for the relationship, and her speed was increasing. And
You were in the car?
Yes, I was in the passenger
Yes.
seat. And I literally did not feel safe under the situation. And she has actually been in the same mindset before, and I felt the same feeling of being unsafe with the way she was driving.
He chooses to bring up... I'm sorry.
And, I mean, I did not feel...
Will you get to the IOU, please?
Yeah, well, she handed it over to me saying, you have to sign this. And this is when she was...
Where was it when she handed it to you?
It was in her hand, and she handed it over to me. We were in the car.
Well, she was driving.
Yes.
And she's crying.
Yes.
And she hands this over to you.
She looked over and handed it to me.
Right. Is that when you gave him this, in the car?
Yes, it was in the car.
Uh-huh. Go ahead. So you signed it while she was driving?
Right. I basically felt that if I did not sign it, then it would have escalated, and I didn't know to what point.
Okay, now you sign it.
Yes.
Did she calm down?
Yes, she did.
And were you still holding it?
Yes, I was. Well, after I signed it, I did hand it back.
And she took it back while she was...
While she was driving.
While she was driving.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And hysterical.
Yes.
Does that sound right to you?
Not really. I was upset. I wanted him to stand up and say, yes, I am responsible for these charges. He chooses to bring up relationship issues in
I'm
the
not
car.
interested in relationship issues. I'm talking about fear.
I don't see how he could have been afraid. He is quite a bit larger than I am.
He doesn't have the car behind him.
He could have overpowered me at any time.
I wasn't afraid of you.
No.
I was afraid of the
Look,
driving.
Mr. Wells, you signed the IOU.
Yes.
Pay the lady the money, $343.17. Pretty exact amount. Are these your charges?
Yes.
Then what are we here for?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
At worst, you're paying for your own clothing that I assume you're wearing.
Yes.
She's not getting any pleasure from it. She's not seeing you in it when you're going out for dinner.
And later today,
I've trained hundreds of people at that school. I've never had an incident like this.
That's a pretty nasty email from a businessman.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Summer Whiteacre says ex-boyfriend Seth Wells owes for credit card charges and bills while they lived together. Seth says he was forced to sign a promissory note.
If they're your charges, who cares whether you were forced to sign an IOU under duress?
Part of them was already paid for.
She gave you credit for what you paid for, sir.
Right, what I paid for is part of that list. It's not the clothing. The clothing, she had said, and I said, you know, it'll be a while before I get, you know, my first paycheck and be able, you know, to pay you back. And she said, don't worry about it, you don't have to. It was the beginning of the relationship, and, you know, when everything is, like, wonderful and happy. And I said, okay. She said, you don't have to, don't worry about it. And I said, are you sure? And she said, yes.
So you're saying to me these are your charges, but it was a gift?
The clothing, yes, was a gift.
Yes.
The rest of it was not, which I did pay the $150.
But there's more charges here than $150, sir.
I'm not exactly sure how that's been. It's been increasing every time she talks to me, so I'm not sure what she's. It's always a new amount.
I don't know. All I know is I can't be bothered with the two of you anymore. We're talking about $343.17. At worst, you're paying for your own clothing. That's the worst scenario. Right. Clothing that I assume you're wearing. Is that right? Not
Absolutely.
Today, necessarily. But you're wearing it.
Yes.
She's not getting any pleasure from it. She's not seeing you in it when you're going out for dinner.
No.
Don't make a big deal of it. Just pay the money, put a period, sayonara, and goodbye. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff, $343.17. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I broke up because she had cheated on me. She got bitter because I broke up with her, and now suddenly, you know, now you owe me this, now you owe me that.
He's the biggest loser I could have ever found in my entire life, and he can't own up to his mistakes.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hollis versus Kirkland. Step forward, please.
Inventory control clerk Lori Hollis is suing her former live-in boyfriend, salesman Alex Kirkland, for unpaid rent and bills. Alex says this is revenge for their breakup.
Ms. Hollis, according to your complaint, a couple of years ago, the defendant lived with you. I assume you were in some sort of a relationship when he came to live with you. You say that he owes you money for rent and other bills. Mr. Kirkland says he doesn't owe you a thing, that you never had an agreement with regard to rent, and when he was working, he gave you money. Is that right, sir?
That's correct.
Okay. When did you move in together, or he moved in with you?
June 10th, 2001.
And how long did you know him before he moved in with you?
From October 1999 for a little over a year and a half.
Why did he move in with you?
He had gotten into a situation where he needed a place to live. And
I don't know what that means.
He had broken up with his girlfriend at the time, and he needed a place to live. He was moving out of his place. And so I offered to let him stay with me.
So he wasn't your boyfriend at the time?
No.
He was just a friend?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
And, you know, and we had an agreement that he was supposed to pay me $450 a month, plus, you know, half of the living expenses, utilities. About 10 days, I think it was like the 25th of June, he had lost his job. And he lost his job under circumstances which prevented him from being able to collect unemployment. I was a friend of his, and I had faith that he would get a job soon and, you know, and be able to adhere to our agreement. But he stayed unemployed all the way through March 2002.
That's your problem. That's your problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Soon after he did get a job, he picked up and left.
He's consistent.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lori Hollis says ex-boyfriend Alex Kirkland owes for rent and bills. Alex says Lori is a vengeful woman.
Let me tell you what you just told me. You just told me that he broke up with his girlfriend and he had to move out of her apartment, right? I assume it was her apartment because she wasn't leaving. He was being forced out. Is that right? That's why he came to live with you.
Well, I don't know the circumstances of their relationship. So
Well, certainly he needed the place to live. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Then, as soon as he got to your house, he lost his job. And when you say he lost a job under circumstances under which he could not collect unemployment, which means he didn't leave voluntarily. He left because he got caught doing something wrong. Well, if you get caught doing something wrong, then maybe you can't collect unemployment, because if you get fired, and if you've had a work history, then you can collect unemployment. So now you have faith in him that he's going to get a job, but he doesn't get a job. So you can, if he's just your friend, you say to him, toodaloo. Well, but you decided not to. So why are you here a year and a half later looking for rent?
Well, all the time that he was staying with me, well, in September of 2001, he decided, he instigated a conversation with me to take our relationship further, because we had been friends for a real long time. We cared about each other, and I loved him. So
that's why you let him stay.
I let him stay.
That's why you let him stay.
And he continually told me that, you know, don't worry, you'll get a job and he'll pay me what he owes me, and so on. But soon after he did get a job, he picked up and left. And
he's consistent. He's consistent. So what are you complaining about?
Well, the fact that
you cared for him. He evidently was not committed.
I do have a signed rental agreement by him, though.
Let me see it. When did you have him sign a rental agreement?
Well, I tried to use it as so in a child support hearing to prevent his child support from being raised.
Were you involved in the child support dispute, sir?
Yes.
Is that why you signed this agreement?
That is why I signed that agreement.
So, according to this, you owe her for a year's rent.
According to that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
And?
I didn't really remember signing that agreement. And once she brings it, now that she brings it up, the reason that I signed it was to take into court to show that I was living at a place and everything was on the up and up, and for them not to raise the child support, which they did anyway. It had really nothing to do with rent. She agreed to help me knowing the situation that I was in. I did pay her. I signed my complete checks over to her once I started working, and I didn't move out right after I got a job.
When you say you signed your complete checks over to her, how often did he do that? How many times did he sign his complete checks over to you?
He did the first check he got in April. He did, because we were kind of in the rears at rent at the time.
So how much was that?
I don't know how much.
How much was that? Do you remember?
I believe it was around $500 from what I had left from the child support.
Mm-hmm.
And he moved out in July 15th.
Okay. Mr. Kirkland, what you're suggesting is that you took this piece of paper. You were sworn to tell the truth.
That's correct.
And the judge asked you what your expenses were?
Yes, he did. I told him that I wasn't working, and those are expenses that were against me.
You gave this to the judge when
Yes.
you were under oath and
Yes.
said, these are my expenses.
Yes.
My rent is $450 a month.
That's correct.
I need this for transportation. I need this for clothing. Is that right?
That's correct.
So now you're coming into this court, and you're telling me in this court that this was merely meant to fool the judge in the child support proceeding.
That's not correct.
Of course that's correct. That you furnished this document to the judge in the child support hearing in the hopes that they would not raise your child support, but that this agreement was false. You were not supposed to pay $450 a month rent. So you furnished this to the judge in that hearing in order to fool that judge. Be a fair statement?
I guess that would be a fair statement.
Got a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Legal Secretary Deborah D'Amico is suing her ex-husband, disabilities advocate Darren Aquino, for the return of their son's belongings and for money owed. Darren is countersuing for legal fees.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 357 on the calendar in the matter of D'Amico versus Aquino. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mrs. D'Amico, the defendant is your former husband, and this must be one of your children.
This is my son, Brandon.
According to your complaint, your son Brandon was living with his father for a period of time, then came back to live with you.
Exactly.
It is your claim, one, that his father refuses to return some of his personal property, and two, that Brandon received some sort of a Social Security check, and that his father kept some of that money after he had returned to your home. Is that right?
That's true, Your Honor.
Mr. Aquino says that the things that were purchased for his son are in his home. He can come and use them whenever he wants to use them, and that he had some sort of an arrangement with his son to pay for some of that stuff, and he didn't pay for them, so Mr. Aquino kept some of his money.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. When were you divorced?
In 92, August.
How many children do you have?
3 children.
Give me their names and ages, please.
I have Nicolina, who's going to be 20, Eric, who's going to be 19 in December, and Brendan, who's 16.
Okay. When you were divorced in 1992, the children were living with whom?
With me.
For how long?
Since that time, Your Honor, I had physical custody of the children.
At this time, am I correct, according to you, that 2 of the children are living with you?
Yes, Your Honor. And the date of divorce was 93 of July. The date was incorrect.
Okay, well, I have the papers here, and it's part of the file. Regardless.
Doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
Are 2 of the children currently living with you?
Eric and Brendan. Brendan left the home.
No, listen to me.
Yes.
You're not following my question. You're not receiving, you're thinking about an answer. Are 2 of the children currently living in your home?
1 of the children are currently living in the
Who?
home. Eric.
Where is your daughter?
Nicolina had left, and I don't know where she went.
Your Honor.
Is Nicolino living with you?
Well, on and off, Your Honor. She's 20 years old. She's liberated. She goes back and forth.
But she was for a period of time living with her father?
Yes, until he threw her out.
Okay. Stop playing with your papers.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor.
Just a second. I ask questions,
sorry.
you answer them, then I make a decision. That's the way we go here. It's comfortable for me. I'm
Okay.
used to routine. All right. Now, when did Brendan go and live with his father?
The end of June 2001.
And when did he return to your house?
June 2002.
Why did he leave your house?
He had an argument with me. At the time, I was imposing a curfew.
He had an argument with you.
Right.
Went to his father. What kind of Social Security check does Brendan get?
Well, the father receives Social Security disability, and Brendan gets a stipend from the government based on Darren's record.
What's the nature of your disability? Is it a physiological disability
it's
or
physical,
a psych?
Yeah, it's
or
a multiple physical, Your Honor.
Multiple physical?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been on disability?
Since 1987.
Okay. What things do you claim that are in your former husband's house that belongs to your son?
Main items were TV, VCR,
Just a minute.
PlayStation.
TV, VCR, what else?
Several electronic games, all his clothing, all his shoes, which I have a list of, Your Honor, right here.
But there was a TV, was a VCR, and was a PlayStation that you took to your father's house?
Yes.
And are they still at your father's house?
Correct.
Why?
Why? Well, Your Honor, he left that house in a very bad way. He was thrown out at 4:30 in the morning by her. We had to go pick him up. He didn't speak with her for 6 months.
Mr. Aquino, listen to me carefully, sir. Are there any items that you have in your home that you personally purchased for your son after June of 2001 when he was living with you?
Oh, sure.
What?
I have PlayStation 2, is it?
Just a second. PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Is that correct? That's correct. What else?
Xbox.
Xbox. Is that correct? That's correct. Go ahead.
Clothes from Old Navy.
Okay.
That are still brand new in the packages.
Exactly.
Listen to me.
Yes.
5 days from today's date, all of his property, so far with the extension of PlayStation 2 and Xbox, are to be quiet, are to be packed in a box. That all, quiet, that all goes back to your son. Now, I will give you 30 seconds to convince me that that is not going to happen.
Okay, Your Honor, there is lots of complications at that household. Many of the children have had abusive treatment by the mother.
I don't care. Mr. Aquino,
Your Honor.
pay careful attention, sir. Your son is 16 years old.
That's correct.
Which means he is still a minor.
That is correct.
Should you wish to contest custody of your child, you're not receiving, you're speaking.
Yes, Your Honor.
Should you wish to contest custody of your child, you go to the appropriate family court. They will conduct a hearing with regard to whether or not he gets to stay where he wants to stay at age 16, whether it's not in his best interest to be with his mother. In the meantime, all of his property that he came to you with goes back to him. Keep going. I don't want to hear about abuse. I don't want to hear about
Your Honor, right now as we speak, an attorney is filing a document in Nassau County Family Court to restore him back to a stable lifestyle, which I set up for him. He did not go back to her in June. He went in August to visit. She's misinforming you. She's also filed other documents that are falsified, which I would like this court to consider that she made fraudulent statements to the Family Court of Queens.
Mr. Aquino, I want you to pay attention to me.
Yes, Your Honor.
I sat in the family court, the state of New York, the city of New York for many, many years, Mr.
I know.
Aquino.
That's why I was confident
So
here
I'm
today.
telling you, and I'm going to tell it to you, for the moment at least, without your son here. Wait outside. Wait outside. Fast! Fast!
Oh.
I have things to do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He doesn't control the money. It goes to the person who is providing him with
Which
food.
was me.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No.
Yes, he lived with me.
Mr. Aquino, he didn't live with you in September.
But he'll return very soon.
I doubt it.
I don't.
doubt it.
I doubt it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deborah D'Amico says ex-husband Darren Aquino won't return their son's belongings. Deborah also claims Darren has been withholding money from their son.
Now, one of the problems when you deal with 16-year-olds is they're very mobile. They get to go where they want to go.
Yes.
Usually when a child is over the age of 12, a family court judge in hearing a petition for custody is going to make a determination that, yes, it may be true that you present the more stable home for this child. However, if he says to the judge, there's no way that I want to go and stay with my father. I want to stay with my mother for whatever reason. And the judge is going to say, listen, what am I going to do? He's 16 years old. He can get on a bus. He can get on a train. He can take off. Where am I going to put him? So before you spend a whole bunch of money, you might be as well served if you got into some family counseling with him to try to resolve some of whatever problems exist. Because sometimes it's an exercise in futility to try to tell a 16-year-old where to live.
I understand
Not going to
that,
happen.
Your Honor.
In the meantime, it doesn't serve you well to keep this stuff as sort of ransom because it makes your son angry with you.
Yes, Your
It's
Honor.
not a good idea. Forget about his mother. I don't know if she's good or bad or a good mother or a bad mother, a psycho or not. I don't know. All I'm telling you is you have a child
Absolutely.
who right now is mad at you because you have his TV. You have his Nintendo. You have his PlayStation. All stupid things. Stupid things. But he's angry with you for that. And if you want to open a dialogue, you're smarter not to be stubborn and say, here, you want it? These are just things. All right, now I'm going to let you speak.
Your Honor, the reason I kept those things is because it was not settled that he's there. In my fight to get him back, because of the complications with the new fella in her life, now her husband, Brendan showed to myself and to my future wife these dissatisfactions and expressed to her more than me because he bonded with her as a second mother figure, which is good. It's good, okay? My concern is that these things that she shows him with the counseling, Your Honor, I've suggested that. She would interfere.
Your Honor.
She told Judge of the family court, who you probably know. He got up. I've never seen a judge get up in rage with veins popping, yelling at her to shut up, that he makes the rules.
That is not
She
true.
interferes.
This man has taken me to court in 20 years.
Your Honor,
I must say this because I've been
cutting me
carrying it
off
for
as
20
usual.
years. This man has made false allegations, has used the judicial system to work for his benefit. He makes people lie for him. I am an upright citizen, a good mother. I've been taking care of my children since I'm divorced.
Forgery
and I have been supporting them since. The man doesn't even pay child support.
Not supposed to. We have an obligation not to do that.
And the man is making up lies here, and he's telling you this like it's so, and it's not true.
Mr. Miko, what I'm telling you is, if you listen, I said, I don't care any of the stuff he's giving me. I'm telling him he's got to return the stuff.
I am so glad you did that.
Period.
I am so
End of discussion.
honored.
Because, Mr. Aquino, it's not the right thing to do.
Yes, Your Honor.
To further alienate your 16-year-old by keeping property that he deems his. Now, let's move on. That's finished. Let's move on to the second part of it, which is $391 a month. I am assuming, because I'm not going into this,
that was a recent increase, Your Honor.
Whatever it is. You acknowledge that you kept some of his money because you say the last insurance benefit I received, it's not insurance,
No.
Mr. Aquino, it's my money. It's Bird's money that we pay to support you because you're disabled.
Exactly.
No, it's my money that I paid into the fund.
How old were you in 1987?
28, I think.
28? And you've been collecting now for 15 years. So you've been collecting more than you worked, and you're going to collect for another 20 or 30 years. Believe me, it's not your money you put into the fund, it's Bird's money.
Thank you.
You say thank you.
So
You misused their money.
Mr. Aquino,
Yes,
pay
Your
attention
Honor.
to me. Believe me, I've been around the block longer than you have, Mr. Aquino.
Yes, Your Honor.
Trust me. So it's not insurance money.
No, ma'am,
It's
it's not.
Bird's money that went to your son that you kept, and you kept at a time when he wasn't living with you because you acknowledged
Not so.
that.
Not so, Your Honor.
No, that's what you
no,
said.
No. He
what you
took
said.
it in advance, Your Honor, to buy those sets. He says, Dad, can I have this money to buy the box? And
Just a sec.
August check?
I want you to be quiet. I got you now. Let me say. So what you're saying is he took... Quiet, Mr. Aquino.
I can't tell you if I'm quiet.
Mr. Aquino, what you're saying to me, sir, is that your son took an advance on his Social Security disability payment.
My Social Security disability
His.
payment. His beneficiary payment.
Bird's money. So that he could buy a PlayStation 2 and other electronic games.
And the cassette.
Wrong. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Listen to me, sir. If you, as his parent, choose to purchase electronic games for him, you don't make the choice unless it's out of your money. Now, if he's living with you, and because you say, well, you're going to get his check next... Mr. Aquino, I'm 10 steps ahead of you, sir. Because there may be something physiologically wrong with you, but there's nothing psychologically wrong with you,
That is
except you're a little bit of a hustler. And when you say to me, quiet, and when you say to me he took an advance so that after he moved out I kept that money, I'm telling you that that's a hustle. Now, he moved out according to you in August.
That's
according
correct.
to his mother in June, according to you in August. Did you keep August's benefit?
August benefit went to her.
Your Honor, I got copies of the 2 checks
Can I
that
see
I
it,
got.
please?
I got statements to Social Security, too, of the misuse
These
of the
are the
funds
2
that
checks
she's had.
that I did receive since Brendan has been back with me.
Brendan has never received any use of his money while in Deborah's care.
Just a second. He's not supposed to get the money, Mr.
It's for the
Aquino.
parent to use.
It's not for the parent
For
to
his
use.
Quiet.
support.
Quiet. He is not supposed to get the money, Mr. Aquino.
At an age.
He's not supposed to get the...
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
He's not supposed to get the money, Mr. Aquino, until he reaches his majority. At 16, he is still a minor, which is why you can go to the family court to try to get custody of him, because he's still a minor. He doesn't control the money. It goes to the person who is providing him with
Which
food.
was me.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No.
Yes. He lived with me. What do you mean? He lived with us.
Mr. Aquino, he didn't live with you in
Yes.
September. He didn't live with you in August.
Of what year?
2002.
No, he did not. But he'll return very soon.
I doubt it.
I don't.
doubt it.
I doubt
don't.
it.
I doubt it.
When they see the fraud that she committed in the courts,
I know
I
he makes
doubt
allegations
it.
of fraud.
I don't doubt it. You filed
I'm
a false
talking.
document in Supreme Court.
You received August's check for 2002?
It
That's what it
indicates
says.
on the check I received
August 2000.
August.
To me, you have August and you have October, and I don't. You had better find out from them what happened for September, because they skipped
They're
September.
a month behind. You get the previous month when
I
they
don't
send
want
it
you to
you.
interrupt me again. You
No,
may interrupt
Your
her. You don't
Honor.
interrupt me.
You're
Trying
wrong.
to explain
No,
the checks
don't
and how they
explain
come.
anything. Don't
I'll
explain
tell you
anything.
what
They're my
happened.
benefit.
I'm not
I'll explain how they
interested.
come.
Pay attention.
Let me make that
You have
clear.
August, and according to you have October. You go to them and find out where September
They
is.
told me they reissued it back to Darren because he
Wasn't
went
reissued
to
to
the
me.
Jericho.
Show me proof. Show me proof.
Well,
that
I
they
don't have
reissued it
proof.
to
I
him.
only have proof that I applied 2 times to be payee within the course of the past several
Fine.
months. I can show you that, Your Honor.
Just a second. Mr. Aquino, you've been sworn today. Are you testifying, sir, under oath, that you did not receive September's check for your son?
Check. I didn't receive September's check. Did it come into the... She does the... It goes into a direct deposit.
Just a second. Did you receive September's check?
No, Your Honor.
Did you receive a check in October?
No, Your Honor.
You have not received the check since August.
Correct.
That
I have
check-
maybe a possibility why that is, Judge.
I don't care why it is. You said that you did not receive it.
That is correct.
Your fiancé said it did not come in. That's under oath. Very easy to get a
I
tape.
have letters here indicating that he was changed, the payee was changed to
Listen
his
to
name
me
again.
very-
So he would have had to have gotten the check somehow, either by direct deposit
Your
or
Honor,
the mail, Your Honor. I have
They're
two notices
suspending
here
the
from
check
Social Security.
because of the problems
No,
with
they're
Debbie.
not. No,
And
Listen
my
to me,
contact
Mr.
with the
Aquino.
office. Yes.
All I'm saying to you is, and I want you to be quiet and stop moving from side to side, sir.
I have a limp, so I
No.
can't stay.
You're nervous because you're hustling me a little
No,
bit.
I'm not hustling
Okay?
you, Your
You're
Honor.
nervous because you're
I
hustling
wouldn't
me a
hustle
little
you.
bit.
You're too sharp.
Your Honor,
Yo,
I
yo,
wish
yo,
you would
you're
please
too
look
sharp
at
for
these.
me.
Right.
Your Honor.
Miss,
These
I'm
two-
going to throw you both out.
I'm sorry, Your
I'm
Honor.
throwing you both
Throw her
out.
out.
Now, 5 days from today, you are to get all of the property packed up. You make arrangements to have it picked up by a third party, a mover or whatever. With regard to the money, take it up with Social Security. Now, let's get to your counterclaim, which is nonsense. Mr.
Nonsense?
Aquino, it
Why
is
you
your
say
claim.
it's
It is
nonsense,
your
Judge?
claim. Shh, quiet. You say that you paid legal
Not
fees
true.
for your son Eric when he was in trouble last year. Is
No,
that right?
Eric was 18. It's for a charge when he was 16.
Yeah.
While he was living in her care.
Yeah.
That these things were concealed from me, and then at the end, she dumps them on my lap and says, "Now you take care of it." Take care of what? I said.
Right.
I supported him. We have an obligation under the court, Your Honor.
What is it that you paid for him?
$3,000. We
Yeah.
assigned it over to Anthony. You probably know the name as Eric's counsel.
Who hired the lawyer?
She asked me to go and call my friend Anthony.
No, just a second. She asked you to go and call your friend,
Right.
who is a lawyer,
We were going to have legal
Shh,
aid
shh,
for
shh,
him.
shh, shh, shh.
Yes,
and you did that.
yes. And she also
Shut
met
up.
me at the court.
Shh. Don't volunteer. Just answer my questions. Where did you get $3,000 from?
I'll let Stephanie answer that.
No,
Stephanie
I
took
don't
it
want
from her
Stephanie to answer it. I want you to answer it.
phone. Okay. Stephanie took it out of her IRA.
Should have let legal aid represent him, sir.
That's what I said.
That ain't what she said.
That's what I
She
Absolutely.
pleaded with
Okay.
me and cried.
This case is resolved as follows. 5 days from today's date, all the property is to be returned to your son. It's very unfortunate that you can't put a period to the end of all of this heartache and
I'd
say,
like to.
shh, and say, for the sake of all the children and maybe grandchildren to come, we're going to get along here. Maybe we should all get together and try to be cooperative and try to work together as a family. That's not going to happen.
That would be wonderful. But
Good.
that's
Give
a
him back his
fantasy with her.
stuff, and that's it. Goodbye.
Yes, this case.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of D'Antuono versus Holdren. Step forward, please.
26-year-old hairstylist Stephanie D'Antuono is suing her ex-boyfriend, personal trainer Thaddeus Holdren, for an unpaid loan to buy a car. Thaddeus says the money didn't become a loan until they broke up.
Mr. Antuono, I've read your complaint. You claim a loan to the defendant, who was your live-in boyfriend for a period of time. Is that right?
Yes,
It was a loan for a car
correct.
and any other expenses?
Yes, for work that needed to be done on the car.
Mr. Holdren said there was never a loan. His position is that he played the role of house husband,
Yes.
that you have a child that he took care of, and he was a personal trainer. He gave up some time in order to be able to accommodate your schedule. And there was never talk of a loan until the two of you separated. So when did you start to live together?
We began to live together only after I had given him the loan. It was in August.
Tell me about the loan.
Thaddeus approached me about loaning him some money for a car that he wanted to buy. I had the funds to help him out, and we discussed it in detail. That
Well, what were the details?
how he had to pay me back. There was no confusion as far
Well,
as...
no, don't tell me there was no confusion. Just tell me what the agreement was. You said it was very specific, so tell me the agreement.
I agreed to loan him the money if he agreed to pay me back in full.
Is that as specific as it went?
Pretty much, yes.
Go ahead.
He agreed to pay me within a certain amount of time.
Well,
and,
that's more specific. What was the
Yes.
amount of time?
A couple of months.
Okay.
And when he didn't, he told me he was having some problems and wasn't going to be able to pay me at that certain time. So I was upset, but I agreed to allow him more time if he would give me payments. Whenever he had money, if he could give me some cash or, whatever he was able to do.
So?
So he didn't. He failed to pay me.
When did you move in with him?
He moved in with me.
When did he move in with you?
That was about a year later.
So 1 year later, he's made no payments on this loan, and then you move in together.
Well, he...
Just answer my
I'm
question.
sorry. Yes, that's right.
Okay. And you lived together for a year.
No, we did not. We only lived together for about 2.5 months.
Your Honor, I lived with her longer than that.
He was at my house on a regular basis, but he did not live there.
Fine. When did that start?
Probably around the time that I gave him the loan. You know, he was staying there maybe a couple nights a week.
More than a couple nights, Your Honor.
That's not correct.
It's over 2 years since this loan was made.
Yes.
And over that period, you have not gotten any payments.
He did pay me $150.
When?
In April of 2001.
Is that right, sir?
I don't know if it was 2001, but I paid her $150. But that's not including everything I did for her and her son. You know,
What did you give her $150 for, Mr. Holdren?
Because, I mean, if I'm with her, or living with her, whatever, I expect to do something, you know. I mean, taking care of her son and taking care of stuff around the house and stuff.
That doesn't answer my question, Mr. Holdren. What was the $150 for?
Just for her.
Well, tell me how that came about, the $150 payment.
She gave me the money and things happened. Hold on.
Mr. Holdren, you're trying to think about the right answer. I don't want you to think about the right answer, sir. I want you to think about the truthful answer. You said to me, I gave her $150 when I asked you what it was for. You did a song and dance. Now I'm asking you the circumstances surrounding you giving her this $150 in March.
Well,
if you say I don't remember what it was for or the surrounding circumstances around it, I will understand that.
Well, I gave her money a couple times, so the $150 is like me giving her money on a regular. I mean, not on a regular, but I gave her money, you know, like any other boyfriend would do. It wasn't like I was giving her $2,000 or you know what I'm saying, like big money, but
Do you remember the circumstances surrounding the $150 payment? The answer is either yes or no.
Yes.
Then tell me what they were.
It was payment for money that I loaned
That's
him.
not what I asked you. That is the conclusion.
The circumstances?
If you don't remember, say I don't remember. Remember that I will test you. If you don't remember, say it. If you remember, tell me.
I don't remember.
Did he give you any other money during the course of your relationship over the last 2 years?
He paid me $100 after our relationship had ended. This was this past April.
What was the $100 for?
For payment from the loan that I gave him.
Did you give her $100 after you separated?
Yes.
For what?
That was for part of her thinking that I owed her all that money. So little $100.
That was
part of me owing her the money.
That was part of her thinking that you owed her the money from the loan?
Right.
Oh, good, that makes it easier. So you did, Mr. Holdren, make a payment to her for this $2,000 loan.
Right.
And you made at least one payment. Is that right?
Right.
And that was made within the past year or so?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to allow you in 30 seconds or less, Mr. Holdren, explain to me why this was not a loan and you don't owe her any money.
Okay, I'll start off with this. We made an agreement when we met. Well, after we met, she has a son. He's 4. Well, he was 4 at the time. And her job is very demanding, and she has different hours every day, like early in the morning sometimes and late in the evening sometimes. And her son goes to school early in the morning. She couldn't take him to school, so I would take him to school, get him up, get him dressed, pick him up from daycare, bring him back with me, and wait till she gets off, and he'd hang out with me, whatever, for the period of time, whatever day it was.
So I'm listening. Keep going.
Yeah. I mean, I did everything. I was like a kindergarten cop with him. This whole thing to me is just like she was pimping me through the whole thing. Like, you know, she's my female pimp.
That's a nasty thing to say.
So that's how it was, because I was doing everything, but she still just seemed like I owed her this whole $2,500.
Well, let me ask you this question, Mr. Holdren. How much rent did you pay?
I didn't pay rent at her house.
How much did you contribute on a regular basis for food for the house?
Depending if I went out to eat or...
No, in the house.
Little.
How much did you contribute regularly towards the utilities?
None.
So you were basically living rent-free. You had no expenses.
Your Honor, I have my own apartment, too.
Where is your apartment?
At the time, it was on the other side of town from where she lived at, on the west side.
Which side is nicer? Her side?
Yeah.
Mr. Holdren, Anything else you want to tell me, sir?
I just felt like I don't owe her the whole $2,500. I mean,
So you don't think you owe her the whole $2,500?
right.
Tell me what part of the $2,500 you think you owe her.
It would really be hard to say because
Well, I want you to think hard. I mean, it was your statement that I don't owe her the whole $2,500.
I don't know, because the time that I put into the relationship, not only with her, but her son too, it was like I couldn't really tell because I was working in the morning and in the afternoon, and my schedule was flexible because I was a trainer. So I, arrange it where, I could make it a better.
Mr. Holdren,
Yes.
what part of the $2,500 do you think you should be given credit for, sir?
I don't know.
So I guess you'll have to leave it up to me, right?
Well, I was hoping you'll feel my side of the story as far as me taking care of her son and everything. Because
No, Mr. Holdren, I'm going to make it very, very easy for you, sir. If there is a contract that provides, even an oral one, that you loaned me this money for the car, and I'm going to work it off by taking care of your son at $1.75 an hour while I'm taking care of him, that will be my contribution, so we're going to take that off the car loan. That's an agreement. But after the fact, you don't make that sort of an agreement. You don't sit back there and scratch your head and say, well, I did all these things for her. Therefore, I shouldn't have to owe her that much on what was originally a loan. Do you understand?
Yes.
That's just a lot of double talk that you're doing for me now. $2,500 was the original loan, and you paid her $250. So judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,250. That's all.
Yeah,
3-year-old mother of 6, Simina DeWater, is suing her father, security guard Simon DeWater, and his common-law wife, Debbie DeWater, for repossessing her car. Simon and Debbie are countersuing for an unpaid car loan and a wedding ring set.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please.
Now, this is case number 227 on the calendar in the matter of DeWater versus DeWater. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Mr. Water, this is your father,
Yes, it is.
and you are his girlfriend?
Yes.
You needed a car.
Mm-hmm.
Your father and his girlfriend helped you out with the finances because you didn't have any money. I think the car was $350. Is that right?
Yes, it was.
And your agreement was that you were supposed to pay them so much per month till the loan was repaid. I think $100 a month. Is that what you agreed to?
No.
What had you agreed to?
We didn't agree on how much exactly.
Okay.
We just said I would pay him back in installments.
All right, that's what you say. In any event, you gave him $100.
Right.
And it is your claim that at some point he called you up and said, I want the rest of the money. You didn't have it. He came and repossessed the car. And you want the money that you put into the car, which was $160, $100 that you had given to him in an installment, and then $60 for new battery.
Right.
Your father and his girlfriend say you did not live up to your terms of the agreement, so that they were forced to repossess the car. They want money that you still owe them on the car, which is another $250, even though they have the car, and some money for an additional loan that your father says he made you for some wedding rings or something. I don't know. That's about, I'm sure he'll tell me. Mr. Water, when was the car purchased?
It was actually purchased on July 31st.
And when did you make the installment payment to your father?
On the 1st.
1st of August?
Yes.
Is that right?
That's true.
And when did your father call you and say he wanted some more money?
Okay, well, he called me on the 25th. I told him that I would not be
What
able
did he say to you?
He asked me if I would be able to give him some money the next day, because the next day I was supposed to be getting paid. And I told him I wouldn't have no money to give him. And I asked him if he would wait an extra week until the 1st, and then I'd give him some more money. And he said, okay. About 45 minutes to an hour later, he calls me back and tells me that Debbie wants me to call her at work. She tells me it's not good enough. So I told her...
What did she say to you, and what did you say to her?
Okay, well, I said, I won't get paid tomorrow. I said, I'll have some more money on the 1st. I said, can you guys wait till the 1st? She said, that's not good enough. They bought the car for me, and I should give them their money back. I said, if you guys can't work something out with me, I said, what we can do is we can sell the car. I said, you can give me my money back, and you can take your money. I didn't hear from them for 2 days. On the 27th, early in the morning, he came and said he was coming to pick up the car and demanded me to give him the keys.
And what happened?
I told him, I asked him, did he have my money? Because I told him he was not taking the car without me having my money. So he comes back around 6 o'clock that evening with the police. And I told the police the same thing, that I don't feel like I should have to give him the car back without me getting my money.
So he wrote me a check for $160. As a matter of fact, we had the police exchange the car keys for the check. The police officer told me to keep the original title. He said just in case anything happens, which was a good thing because when I went to go cash the check at Money Tree that same day...
They had stopped payment on the check.
They went online and stopped payment.
So that's what this is about, $160. Right. All right, now let's hear your end of the story.
First of all, the agreement between us was that on the first she would give $100, and then 2 weeks after that she would give another $100, and then 2 weeks after that she would give another $100, and then $50 after that. The 25th, when I contacted her, she told me then, she said, I won't have the money until the 10th, not the 1st.
Did she call you at your place of business? Tell me about the conversation as
when
you
she called me, I said, Samina, I understand that you don't have your job anymore and you're not able to pay. So what can
She had lost her job?
Yes.
How did you know that?
She told me. She couldn't pay me.
What did she say?
Well, actually, on the 15th, she couldn't pay us because she said they didn't put her hours in. She wouldn't get paid till the 25th, which was a Sunday. When I talked to her that night at work, she said that she'd lost her job and that she wasn't going to get paid. And she didn't know when she could give me more money. I said, well, you know, maybe we should just take the car back. And she says, well, y'all can come get the car if you want, but I want my $100.
Where is the car now?
I have it up at a friend of mine's house.
You have somebody to buy it?
I did have a person to buy it until she left a message on my answer machine saying that the police officer said if I sold the vehicle that I can be arrested.
Do you have the title?
Yes, ma'am, I do. It's right here.
Oh, good. And it's in your name?
It is my name, and it's a Washington State title.
Good. Mr. Water, did you lose your job?
Actually...
No, you have to...
No,
not actually,
I did not lose my
listen
job.
to me, because that's very easy. That's just a phone call that I have to make.
Right.
So it's very easy. So I'm going to start again. Were you working at the same place, same number of hours in the beginning of August and in the middle of August?
Yes, I was.
And the end of August?
No, I wasn't.
You either left, quit, or you were fired?
Actually, it was just a work experience. My program was over. What I was doing is I had to take time off for when I had the baby. I have a 4-month-old baby. That was 3 months I had time off, and then I had to finish my work
What
experience.
3 months?
April, May, and June. I had my baby in May.
And July is when you needed a car?
Well, actually, I didn't ask for him to get the car. He offered to get me the car.
What kind of car did you get?
It was an Oldsmobile Cutlass, I believe.
Okay. What I want to know from you, sir, is when you wrote her the check for $160, see, ordinarily, I would say to her, listen, you drove the car for a month. You didn't follow through with your agreement, because I believe she had an agreement that every 2 weeks you were going to get paid, and they had the right to take the car back. And you drove the car for a month. You can't get a rental car for a month. So it costs you $100 for the month. Say goodbye. That's what I would ordinarily say to her. But you gave her a check for $160 and then stopped payment on the check.
Yes, ma'am.
Explain to me why, sir.
Because when we did arrive there, actually...
The police would not give you the car unless you gave her the check.
No, ma'am. I'm the one that actually called the police because I told them that I knew that there would be an altercation. One of the police officers went with me with the paperwork.
Talk to me about this $160.
That's
why did you give her the check? Just tell me.
Because she started calling me names. In order for the police officers to get on about their business, in order for me to get the vehicle, which was already mine, I agreed. The police officer and I talked about it, and I said, here, I can write her a check, and I will put a stop pay. The reason why...
Oh, no.
The reason why
I don't believe you said that to the police officer.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Let me see a police report that says that.
They did not do a report.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
6, 5, 4, 2, 1, and 4 months.
6 children. You receive public assistance?
No, I do not.
Sure you do.
And later today...
The squirrel had relieved herself on my microwave, ate up plants, chewed through a maple syrup bottle. I have pictures of the squirrel.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Simina DeWater says her father, Simon DeWater, and his common-law wife, Debbie DeWater, repossessed her car. Simon says his daughter had it coming.
See, the problem is, she believes she has a claim to a certain part of this car because she had, in fact, invested a certain amount of money in it. She's all wrong. Okay. Listen to me. She's all wrong, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I understand.
However, once you give her a check in order to resolve a dispute, and she accepts it and relinquishes physical custody of that car relying on the fact that you have reached an agreement. You can't say, now I'm going to stop payment on the check. But you cannot do that. You cannot give her something. She gave up something in reliance on it and then stopped payment on the check. So she's entitled to that $160. Now, quiet, you're entitled to nothing on your claim for the rest of the money she owes you because you have the title to the car and you're going to sell the car. Put your hand down. So far, anything that you're entitled to, you got. Do you understand?
Yes.
I'm telling you, but for the fact he gave you this check, you would be entitled to zippo, goose egg, nothing.
Right.
Now, let's go over to this loan, alleged loan for wedding rings, because that's the only thing I want to hear about now.
Okay.
Not entitled to any more money for the car. You got the car, keep it, sell it, do whatever you want with it.
Okay. What had happened was she was telling me that she was supposed to be getting married in July. I did offer to buy the rings because they were arguing back and forth. She just wanted a band and he wanted something that had bling bling. So what I did was I went and got him bands with diamonds in it, okay? What I did stipulate before I gave them the rings and they agreed to was that if they did not get married on the date that they said that they would, I wanted the money back for the rings. Then, come that date, she told me they postponed it till the next month because the people from his family wasn't able to come over to where we were. On the date that we went to pick up the car, she got smart. Like I said, she started calling me names. I told her, I said, okay, I want the money for the rings then.
Who were you supposed to marry?
My kids' father.
Your children's father?
Yes.
How many children do you have with this person?
6.
6 children? And how old are they?
6, 5, 4, 2, 1, and 4 months.
And where does this person live?
With me.
Does this person work? Is he employed?
Yes, he does.
Have you gotten married yet?
No, we have not.
Do you receive public assistance?
No, I do not.
Sure you do.
No, I do not. I terminated.
When did you terminate it?
I terminated it last month.
Oh, just last month?
Yes, I did, because I got a full-time job now.
So for 6 years, the guy's living with you, you make 6 babies with him, collect welfare. That's a very good reason not to get married. You get married, all that stops.
No, actually, he's on it. He was on it. Yes,
he was on your budget?
Yes, he is. And he was working the whole time. Since we've been together, he's been the one working.
You have to understand something, Mr. DeWater. Your daughter and the father of her children, you understand we're involved in a little bit of shenanigans with the state and money. How old are you?
23.
23, 6 kids. You know her judgment is 0. You wanted her to get married. You bought the rings. Stupid! Stupid. Don't lend her any more money.
We're not.
Good. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was a refusal to pay. It wasn't saying I didn't have the money and I can't pay you till, a certain date. It was just a refusal to pay.
They offered. I didn't ask them to get it for me. So that's their loss.
It's case number 106 on the calendar in the matter of Ward versus Price Ward. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mrs. Ward, the defendant is your son, and the co-defendant is his fiancée or girlfriend. Right. You have children together?
Yes, ma'am. Not together. I have a son, and she has a daughter.
But they live with you?
Yes, ma'am.
I've read your complaint very carefully, Mrs. Ward. This is your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you claim that your son assaulted you in his home, and that his fiancée was present, and while there is no claim that she assaulted you, she did nothing to prevent it.
Correct.
I don't know why you're standing up as a plaintiff, just to give moral support to your wife, sir?
Well, not only moral support, but I was there also because I wanted to stop the situation with my
You
boy.
were there on the evening of this alleged assault with your wife?
Yes, I was.
Why were you and your wife at your son's home?
Okay, my wife had called my son up. She wanted to talk to him. This is through a prior conversation she'd been trying to deal with him for a while.
About what, Mrs. Ward?
Go ahead.
About the TV and the VCR.
Tell me about the TV and the VCR.
My son and his wife, Ben, were having problems. Sean had sold everything in his house. He didn't have a good job like he does now. I mean, he was doing piecework.
Just a second. I read your complaint very carefully. Let me see if I can make this, because this is just a background to the story.
Okay.
Your son came to live with you for a while.
Yes, ma'am.
He was supposed to pay you rent, $50 a week.
Right.
He didn't pay you the rent.
No,
exactly.
ma'am, I did pay. Okay.
You claim he didn't pay you the rent. And you said, when you move, you'll leave me the TV and the VCR for the rent. And then when he moved out, he took the TV and the VCR.
Yes, ma'am.
And the reason you and your husband went over there that night was to take back the TV and the VCR.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, tell me what happened when you got there.
They were eating dinner. So we went in the living room while they was eating and watched TV. The children were there, too, eating. They got done, came in and gave us a hug, you know, and Michelle was getting them ready for bed. And so Sean says, well, you're here. What do you want to talk about? And I said, the TV and VCR. He said, I knew that's what it was going to be about. And he stood up. I said, he says, I do not owe you anything, Mom, nothing, and I want you out of the house. Well, I have a book right here where I kept notes, and his signature is on it. And I said, son, I have proof. I opened the book, and that's when he stood up and got very angry at me and told me to, I don't want the words he said, to get out.
Get out of the house.
And actually, I didn't really believe him. I meant, he's my baby son, and I believe in his
Just
word.
a minute. So he told you to leave his house at least twice?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
And I said, you're kidding, Sean. He said, I'm not kidding, Baba. He said some other words. And I said, then I'll go up and get it myself. I know I can't. Look at me, how much I weigh. I knew I couldn't get it myself.
Where was your husband during all this time?
Can I speak? I was in the living room.
So you were in the living room. So your
Yes.
wife was going to go upstairs and take the TV and the VCR. That's what she said she was going to do anyway.
That's correct.
So she started up the stairs, and what happened? Mrs. Ward.
Well, as she proceeded to start upstairs, first of all, I was shocked on the whole situation, the anger he threw at his mother. As I seen this anger, I just kind of looked at him and said, you know, you shouldn't talk to your mother that way because she is your mother, irregardless, you know, what she says or does. She proceeded to go upstairs. I went with her upstairs to slow her down and said, honey, I think we might as well go ahead and leave. And she says, well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay right here till he either gives me the VCR and the TV. And at that point, he says, well, I'm going to call the sheriff. She said, well, go ahead and call the sheriff. And he just got angry at that point. He says, well, the heck with it. As I was proceeding to hold her back a little bit from proceeding upstairs, then he turned around and got angry and turned around and says, well, by God, I'll get her out. Then he jerked her off the step, holding onto the steps, threw her on his back. I told him, do not hurt your mother. He says, oh, I'm going to put her out if that's the only way I can get her out. Then I heard a big old thud in the living room, and I come running in there. She had hit the floor. I don't know if he dropped her or what happened. She was really hurt, and at that time she was speechless. She was shocked, and she says, I am going on my own. You don't need to manhandle me anymore.
Incorrect.
So he proceeded to pick her up by the arm, straight up, head on out the door, all the way to the car, slammed her into the car. She hit her head on the door as she went in. And at that time, he just said, this is where you're going to stay, get out of here. So that's as far as it went. Why I didn't do anything, people says, well, why didn't you get a pipe and hit him over the head? First of all, he's my son, and I do love him. I love my wife both. I'm there trying to make a choice so quickly, and I'm not really much of a match to go jumping ahead and start doing something to my son again to his house. So there's a lot of thoughts had to go through my head. And
Was your wife drinking that day?
No, she was not.
She had anything to drink of an alcoholic nature. Just
No,
make sure.
She doesn't.
She don't drink. She might drink a little something. It wasn't alcohol.
Okay,
that had
so
anything to do with
this was not alcohol related. She was in total control of her senses
It was drug
when she
induced.
came to your house. Is that right?
Drug-induced, not alcohol.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That was part of the deal.
Deal, Schmiel, listen to me.
I gave him a place to live, Your Honor.
Big deal. He's your child.
And later today,
The relationship was quite expensive.
He gave me a promise ring.
She was constantly asking for money.
He promised to marry me.
I felt that I was being taken advantage of, literally.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Donna Ward says her son, Sean Ward, assaulted her while she was visiting his home. Sean says his mother was belligerent and refused to leave.
You take prescription medication?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Now, you have photographs of your injuries?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see them. The marks that I see on your arms are consistent with being picked up by your arms.
Yes, ma'am.
That was your injury.
That's ma'am.
Now, I'm going to let you tell me your side of the story, Mr. Ward.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, the case is dismissed for all purposes against Miss Price because she did not participate in this,
Correct.
other than to stand by and do nothing, which is the same thing you did, Mr. Ward. She's not even married to him. You're married to her. Why would you sue Miss Price?
Because I felt like, just like he did, tried to get Sean to calm down. I was hoping that maybe she...
Your husband didn't come to your defense. Why would a stranger?
Not for me, for her husband. I thought maybe she would ask Sean to stop. I mean, that's all.
She's not a party to this case.
Okay.
So, tell me your version of the events. Your mother came to get...
Yes,
your mother
ma'am.
came?
My mother came to the house. I had paid them $100 a week instead of the $50 that she was agreed on to pay. So, therefore, she knew the TV was paid for. She let me take it on wheel out the house. The only reason that I had any confrontation with her at all, because both my 5- and 6-year-old kids were standing in the living room, that she had asked for them to be present. I thought maybe she had a health problem that she was getting ready to tell us about. And when she did come up with that situation, I did get angry, but I did stand up and ask them both to leave. I opened both the doors, and I said, y'all need to leave. And I might have said it a little meaner, to get out of my house.
Right.
They would not leave.
Ultimately, you picked her up and put her out of the house.
Yes, ma'am. I picked her up off the steps.
And that's what the marks are on her arm.
That possibly could be.
All right. This part of the case is pretty easy. Mr. and Mrs. Ward, you are not entitled to any damages. You entered his home with his permission.
Exactly.
Then he asked you to leave. You refused to leave. At that point, you are trespassing on his property. He asked you to leave again. You still would not leave. The law permits him, as I'm sure the judge told you in court when you were there on the criminal case, that he has the right to use reasonable force. Can't shoot you. He can't stab you. But he can physically take you and move you out of his property, which is exactly what he did. Now, the fact that I don't understand why you are there trying, if your son is finally back on his feet, and he's now got a good job, and he's got a home, and he's got 2 kids that he's taking care of, why in the world you would make a big deal out of a television set and an old VCR? I haven't a clue. But I'm not going into that.
Okay.
Because there's no logical reason why you would go to his house and create a scene with 2 children there to get back a TV and a VCR that you think was owed to you for rent.
I did not. I let the children go upstairs. I've asked him without the children being around.
I don't know why you would ask for it at all.
Because, ma'am, that was part of the deal.
Deal? Schmeal, listen to me.
I gave him a place to live, Your Honor.
Big deal. He's your child.
I know, and I'm his mom. I did not want to do this.
Well, you shouldn't have done it.
Sean knows in his heart that he said, I believed in his word. And
Mrs. Ward,
yes, ma'am.
how many children do you have?
I have 7.
If your child has not been doing well for a while, as you said, he'd been in and out of your house, and he was finally, according to you, finally got a good job and back on his feet, what mother in her right mind would say, now I'm going to take the television set that you watch and the VCR that you watch, or that the children watch in their room? There's no excuse. You could talk from today till tomorrow. I have children.
I know.
And for $250, you went to the house to make a scene?
No, ma'am, I did not intend to make any kind of
Of course
scene.
you did. Because
No,
once
ma'am.
he said to you, I'm here for the TV and the VCR, and he said, I don't want to talk about
I
that,
only
please
started
leave, then you decided to go upstairs and you said, I'm going to take it myself. That's creating a scene.
I didn't think that I was very smart, Your Honor.
Oh, fine.
But he had
Good.
gotten a big, huge television, and I figured that he knew we were down. That TV would have helped us. We were down, and there was nobody helping us.
Stop it. Your children aren't supposed to help you. You're supposed to help them.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Donna Ward says her son, Sean Ward, assaulted her while she was visiting his home. Sean says his mother was belligerent and refused to leave.
You were arrested for assault,
Yes, ma'am.
and those charges were dismissed.
Yes, ma'am.
And I assume that they were dismissed, Mr. Ward, because they ultimately determined that you had the legal right to put your mother off the property.
Correct on
Is
her
that
own
right?
testimony. I didn't even have to testify.
Right. You can't sue her.
Right.
Here, you can't sue her.
Correct.
The district attorney determined that there was sufficient evidence to go to trial with because your mother had your fingerprint marks on her arms.
Correct.
Why she proceeded that far, I don't know, but she did. So you have no right to sue her for false arrest because you did, in fact, put your hands on her. You weren't in fear of your life from your mother. You weren't in fear of life, and certainly not from your father because he didn't do anything.
No, ma'am. I intended no harm, and due respect to you and her, I do love my mother. Only thing I have here is the bills that I had to pay, my lawyer bills. And
you shouldn't have put your hands on your mother.
And then been out.
You shouldn't have put
you're
your,
absolutely correct,
you shouldn't have
ma'am,
put your hands on your mother. Pay your own bills.
I was looking forward
Case
to my
is dismissed,
kids.
that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I have always believed in his word, and you can't stand by your word. What else do you have?
He's upset with the fact that he's fighting with his mother, which no person wants to be, and I just wish it would all be over with.
I would like us to be a family. I don't know if that's possible.
What I wanted was just my name to be cleared, and that happened. So I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, and this is case number 295 on the calendar in the matter of Mergner versus Fickett. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Mergner, you were at a party, and it is your claim that the defendant, while acting like a complete imbecile, started to hit golf balls off the hood of your car because somebody had said something to him that offended him. Mm-hmm. And he caused over $2,000 worth of damage to the roof of your car. Mr. Fickett says he did no such thing, and the only reason that you're suing him is probably because you were in some way infatuated with him, as all women are. And when you found out that he had a girlfriend, you probably got angry or something like that, right?
Something like that, Your Honor, yes.
Did you know him before this party?
No, I don't.
Who saw him on top of the car?
My witness, Joe Moore.
And I have the witness up here. Tell me your name, sir.
Joe Moore.
Mr. Moore, on what date was this party?
May 20-something. I'm not sure the exact date.
Where was it?
Tucson, Arizona, Grant and Silver Barrel.
At a friend's house?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the name of the friend?
Sean.
Don't look like a deer in headlights, sir. I'm not going to attack you. I'm just asking you some preliminary questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how many people were at this party?
30 at the most. Or a lot more than 30.
And was... Don't speak until I speak to you. Was the defendant one of those people?
Yes, ma'am.
The plaintiff says that you actually observed the defendant doing something in or around or on her car.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what you saw.
I saw the defendant standing on top of the car and kind of give a little jump as to indent the roof of the car.
This is ridiculous, Your Honor. He has nothing to go on this.
I don't want you to speak. What word didn't you understand when I said it nicely before?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
I saw him do that and then proceed to like drop a golf ball and take the club and just start hitting a couple of golf balls after.
And then what did you do?
I turned around and I walked back in the house. I found my friend Shane, and I said, there's some guy outside jumping up and down on somebody's car, hitting golf balls off the top of the car with your golf clubs. So you might want to call the cops. You might want to come out here and check this out. And then
the police arrive?
No, ma'am. The police never arrived that night.
Who told you that something had happened to your car? Or did anybody?
Not until after the fact. He had already left. He basically wrecked the party. And my boyfriend had just graduated. It was his graduation party from the University of Arizona. So he decides to show up wearing an Arizona State hat. And
I don't care about that. I read that somebody was wearing the wrong kind of, he was wearing the wrong kind of hat. Somebody called him a jerk.
This is silly, Your Honor. This is what it's all about.
You're the...
Shh. Listen to me. When did you actually see the damage to your car?
Not until after he left, probably 2 in the morning.
Exactly.
Let me see the estimate for the damage.
This is the estimate.
Mr. Fickett, 2 times I've told you not to speak until I get to your side, which I believe I have assured you that...
I'm just shocked to hear all this. This is so ridiculous. Like, I can't believe she's like actually saying this. She has nothing to go on, no proof.
My mouth is running. When my mouth is running, yours doesn't run.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm going to say it one more time, and I'm going to try to say it as tastefully and with as much judicial temperament as I can muster. Keep your mouth shut until I talk to you. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You have pictures of the car?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Looks like hail damage, Your Honor.
I assume what I'm looking at in some of these pictures are a footprint.
Yes. His footprints were all over.
Okay, now I'll hear you, Mr. Fickett.
All right, I went to this party. The only reason I went to this party was because my friend Nick, who wrestles at ASU, was visiting. And we went to the party, me and my girlfriend Kim here, went to the party just to hang out with him. We were having a casual discussion outside, me and my friend Nick. And from what she tells me, there were like a group of girls, maybe her friends, maybe someone didn't like her, maybe someone didn't like me. I don't know for what reason. There were a group of girls like, just whispering and gossiping like in the corner. She knows more about that than me. I was just hanging out. We were there maybe for an hour, hour and a half. It was graduation night at U of A. There were like 3 parties on the street. I wasn't even drinking. I mean, they were probably drunk as all hell being graduation. The reason I wasn't drinking was because I had a wrestling match the next morning. I fight professionally, and I'm known to be like rumored about to be like this big tough guy that causes all this trouble. And it's just a reputation that beholds me that isn't true. And this is just another jealous person or angry person that just wants to blame stuff on me, either because her car's really damaged, I don't know, or maybe she has something against me or my girlfriend.
She doesn't have anything against you.
Well, she has something against me if she wants to make this stuff up and bring me to court for
Mr.
it.
Fickett. Pay careful attention to me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
She doesn't have anything against you. She doesn't have anything against your girlfriend. She didn't see you do any damage to her car. She didn't tell the police she saw you do any damage to her car. She didn't tell me that she saw you do any damage to her car. He saw you do damage to her car. He doesn't want to date you. We don't want to blame the wrong person, do we?
No, ma'am.
You want to blame somebody. Blame Mr. Moore. Maybe he's jealous of you.
Any which way, she's coming up with a false witness
No,
to come
no.
up with her case.
No. She goes outside and she finds that her car has been damaged. She says, who damaged my car?
Well, if it was so urgent,
He says-
why weren't the cops there that night? Why didn't she call the cops that night? Why is my name not in the police report? I mean,
Just a second. They did call the police. But from what you tell me, sir, it was graduation night. The police were probably very, very busy and not swift to respond to some fool standing on top of a car hitting golf balls off somebody's roof. They had other things to worry about, so they didn't show up.
I arrived
But
at the
it is clear
party.
to me that somebody was on the hood of this car. It is clear to me that somebody took a flying leap while they were on this car. And what I would try to figure out, Mr. Fickett, is why Mr. Moore would lie to me about having seen you do that. Did you have any prior relationship with him? Did you have any
I don't know
prior
these
problem
people.
with
I was
him?
at the party because of a friend of a friend.
Okay. So you don't. Just a second. So you don't know him. Is that right? You don't know him at all.
No.
Why in the world would somebody make up a story like that about you?
Because it's petty girls crying about someone damaging their car and they need someone to blame.
So they blamed you.
I guess. Maybe they
You
don't
wanna
like
tell
Arizona
me
State. It's
something?
me.
Step up, young lady.
I
Tell
was
me your
there.
name.
My name's Kim.
Okay, Kim.
And I was there with him the whole night. This is kind of almost funny to us. When you pull into the street, when we first pulled into the street of where the party was going on, we had no idea where it was because, like he said, there was three parties. I mean, it's a big street. We had to park like 2 streets down. There was tons of cars, tons of people walking around all over the place.
Get to the point.
Anybody could have done this. When he stands up here and gives like an oath, like, I'm sorry, but my dad's a minister. I don't know if you're religious, but that's like not cool. You don't stand up here because I was with him the whole night. The whole night. I stayed with him. I sat outside. Excuse me, I'm talking. I sat outside. I was talking to, I had seen a girlfriend of mine that I used to work with. He's talking to Nick. I'm talking to my girlfriend. An hour later, I go, I got a sociology class in the morning. You got a wrestling tournament. We better go. We hopped in the car. We said goodbye to everybody. And we left. The only person that we knew there was Nick and this girl that I had just seen there. And, you know, I mean, there was so many people there and there was so many parties going on at any time that I just can't comprehend how this guy is saying this. I was with him the whole night. I was by his side. I walked in the house at one point to go to the bathroom. And when he says 30 people, 70, if not more, when I walked in.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lovely young lady. Well, I have to make a judgment as to why Mr. Moore here would make up a story about having seen you cause the damage to the plaintiff's car. Now, I can understand why your girlfriend would tell me that you were together all evening, which isn't even true according to her, because she did go inside for a while to go to the bathroom. Probably was inside at least 10 minutes, because it takes that much time to get through 70 people to find out where the bathroom is and to get out. She wasn't with you the entire evening. The estimated damage is some $2,000 on this car. And it's not a new car.
Yeah, it's new to me, though.
I understand that. How much did you pay for it?
Roughly $5,000.
What do you mean, roughly $5,000?
Because my mom gave it to me. And it was originally her car. And so it
was originally her car, and your mother gave it to you as a gift.
Because I'm going to school and I need a car.
Terrific. And this damage that was done to the car doesn't affect its drivability.
No, but I have to look at it every day and be reminded of him.
Of course you do. And I'm sure that if I award you $2,000, you're going to find a way to have it fixed for that $2,000. So that's what I'm awarding you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He likes to pick fights with people, and that's what he likes to do. And that's why he obviously wasn't invited. We don't associate with people like him.
They don't have anything better to do. They can't sit down and have a conversation like we were doing the whole night. They have to, yeah, dude, where's the pie of beer?
Everyone I talk to says he's psycho.
I've had jealous gossip about me before, and I just thought this was one of those cases. We found the golf club later, but it was broken in half at that point, so.
He fights in a rage in the case circuit. That's the number one reason why he's so well known, and that's why people think he's so crazy.
University of Arizona is the way to go.
Case number 170 on the calendar in the matter of Garcia versus Terrell. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Ms. Garcia, the defendant is your daughter.
Yes.
Without going into too much history, there did come a time when, according to you, and I believe that your daughter acknowledges that you loaned her some money for two things. First, for a sofa that she wanted.
Yes.
And then a car loan. Then there came a time when your daughter was having some difficulty. She moved in with you.
Correct.
Is that right? With her children.
Yes.
And she put a lot of her stuff in a storage unit that was in your name.
That's correct.
That's her counterclaim. Her counterclaim is that you locked the storage unit and she can't get her property. Right?
Yes.
How long did you live with your mother?
From October 2001 to February 2nd, 2002.
And when did she lend you the money for the couch?
March 2001.
How much did she lend you at that time?
I believe it came to $26 and some odd dollars, $2,600.
When you moved in with her, what happened to the couch?
Well, when I got laid off and moved out of my apartment, she got a U-Haul, she got a storage unit. We moved everything to that storage unit.
Where is the couch now?
From what I've heard last, that she has moved it out of the storage unit and moved it into her house.
Where's the couch now?
In my basement.
Did you make any payments on the couch?
No.
None?
None. We had an agreement that when I got my income taxes back, because I had a whole year to pay on it, I had till April 2002 to pay for it, that I would give her the money for it.
You don't need the couch, do you?
No.
So you're perfectly happy to return the couch to her if she pays the money?
Correct.
That's fine. That takes care of the couch. Now, what about the car? Did your mother lend you money for a car?
We had leased a car, both her name and then my name, and I was making payments. I was late on it because I was laid off, and she knew I was going to be late, and then...
But the car was for you?
Yes. It was for
And you told her that you would make the payments?
Yes.
And you didn't?
No. I was late.
So what happened?
Well, I asked her for some money to borrow to pay...
Who's her?
I'm sorry, Rebecca Martin. If I could borrow some money, she lent it to me. Then I paid February's, and then when I went in March on a vacation just to Ohio for a couple days, I had a check in my purse in my car for March's payment.
Mm-hmm.
Next morning I woke up and my car was gone. When I got my belongings back, she took the check out of my purse. I found out she took money out of my account, of $26.33 out of my account, one for a car payment and one for my couches. But then she asked for the storage key back, so she wouldn't give me my couches anyway, even though she got the money out
Where's
for it.
the car?
The car's my possession.
Are you using it?
Yes, I am.
I mean, you're using it for basic transportation for yourself?
Yes.
Okay, so you pay for the car. And the storage stuff, you're prepared to give back to her?
That's correct.
So we've taken care of some of the financial stuff. Yes. The car you're going to use, so you'll continue to pay for the car. She's going to give you $2,600 for the sofa. The problem that I have here is that you have children, And I gather that since this incident that happened between you and your mother hasn't seen your children. Why is that?
With everything that I've had a really rough life living in that household and a lot of abuse that was in the house. And I don't want my children around that. I don't want them to go through what I've went through in my life, so I just rather just keep them away. And then she called Protective Services and told them that I punched them in the face, took the chance on me getting my kids taken away.
Did you ever hit your children?
No, I don't hit. I don't punch them. I spank my children. I'm not going to lie. I discipline my children.
How old are they?
They are 6 and 3. And I could understand if she was looking out for the welfare of the children. I could get over that. Yeah, she was looking out for the best interest. To sit there and straight up lie to get a chance on... My daughter was pulled out of gym class to be questioned. She was upset about that, and I...
When you hit your children, where do you hit them?
I hit them on their butts.
With what?
My hand.
Anything else?
No, not like her, that she uses a spatula.
I don't think so. What does your 3-year-old do that inspires you to hit her?
My son?
Your son. Him.
Well, if he's acting bad, throwing a fit, I mean, you know, a normal 3-year-old, you know, mouthy, no. If timeout's not doing it, if he's not staying in his corner, I spank his butt. I paddle his butt.
Paddle it with what?
My hand.
Anything else?
No. That's hard enough. I don't need any objects.
I'm not going to get into that with you, but 3-year-olds have a limited understanding.
A boy at that.
Yeah, well. And if children grow up in violence, that's what happens. So if you grew up in what you allege is a violent household, where you were corporally punished, perhaps you want to rethink your disciplinary mode with your own children, because that perpetuates itself. That doesn't mean that your children who are used to their grandmother shouldn't see her even for a couple of hours every other Sunday, because now that you're angry with each other, what caused this rift? You want to tell me?
Well, it was a domestic violence charge upon her for cutting my face on February 2nd of 2002.
What did she cut your face with?
Her fingernail.
You had a fight?
Yes.
I was fighting her off of me.
About what?
She put my grandson in allowed him to go to her ex-boyfriend's
his father
house, who she said that she would not allow him to go over there because in 2000 he took my grandson away from her and wouldn't give him back, was trying to sue her for custody. And she called me up crying, wanting me to help her get my grandson out of the home. So I went over there with her and got the child out of the home with the police, and she said that she would never let him have his, see his son again. Well, as time went by, she forgave him and she allowed him to see him, but she said she wouldn't leave him alone with him because of all that he has put her through. She didn't want him to see that. So in 2000 of this year, 2002, February 2nd, she let him go over there because we were all sick in the home. I had bronchitis, she was sick, and my grandson was sick, and she wanted to get some sleep. So she let him go over there without her supervision. And I said, I thought you weren't going to allow him to go over there. And we got into an argument, and then she went into a rage, and she cut my face.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They want to see her. They send her letters. They write her letters. And I want that.
I've never received any letters.
She goes off.
Listen, don't fight. I'm trying to make it better.
And later today,
there was no necessarily written contracts or anything of that.
Get to what she owes you money for, sir. I already got that part of the story. I finished with that. What does she owe you money for? What do you think? I don't remember my question? I'm not that old.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sharon Garcia says her daughter, Angela Terrell, owes for several unpaid loans. Angela says her mother won't return her belongings.
You think it's a smart idea not to let your children see their grandmother?
With her husband in the house, yes.
What do you mean with her husband? You think it's okay with her husband?
I don't want my children around her husband, really. I mean, I'm not really too worried about her. I mean, as long as she doesn't hit him with spatulas or cutting boards or whatever.
What if she just sees him in the park?
Yeah, that's fine. It's supervised visitations. Why
don't you just see him in the park? It's just, she was part of their lives.
I understand, and my kids miss her terribly. And I hate it, but...
Not for you or not for her.
I know.
But really
for the children. I know. They want to see her. They send her letters. They write her letters. And I want
I have not
that.
received any letters.
Well, isn't there a park where you could meet?
Yes. But with, we have a no contact order, and we have a no, I can't have any negative contact with her. And the way she goes off, just talking.
I mean, isn't there somebody else that you could arrange? And I can't fashion such an order.
No contact
You can only do that between yourselves.
But I still can't have negative contact.
Listen, don't fight. Okay. Trying to make it better. I can't fashion that order. That's not currently before me. But isn't there someone else? I don't know who this lady is.
Her neighbor is a sheriff for Oakland County.
Somebody else who could just pick up the kids,
yes,
go to the park, let her spend a couple of hours with the kids a couple of times a month on a Sunday. Can't you arrange that? Yeah. Be a good mother.
I'm trying.
Okay? Be a good mother. Because listen, I mean, it's sort of classic. You're not an unintelligent young woman, but it's really sort of classic. You say you were raised in a house where there was physical abuse, and then you corporally punish your own children. Okay? That perpetuates itself from one generation to another.
I don't want it no more.
So the children need the widest possible community of people that they're familiar with. And good, bad, or indifferent, they're familiar with their grandmother. They lived with her. She's taken care of them at various times, I'm sure. And so now they've been cut off. It's not a good thing for their overall development. So be a good mother. See if you can work something out so that the kids can see their grandmother. Reasonable?
Was it supervised?
Reasonable?
Yes.
Okay. And your mother wouldn't mind that as long as she can see them, because it's not really for her, it's for the children.
Correct.
Okay. So all the property, all of your property is going to be returned within 5 days. You owe your mother $2,600 for the couch because you're going to get it back. So the judgment is for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I did not abuse my daughter. She was not brought up in an abusive home.
It's hurting my children. She's trying to hurt me, and it's hurting my children.
I did everything out of love to help her out.
Every time I'm with her or around her, I've been brought pain.
But you were the aggressor with the pepper spray. That's all.
Yeah, this is case number 123 on the calendar in the matter of Gregory versus Billsbach-Termott. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Miss Gregory, according to your complaint, you owned some real estate that was rental property. You rented it to the two defendants and claimed that during the course of their tenancy, they trashed your property. They say they did nothing to your property but normal wear and tear, that they had some parties there that you were aware of, and they are counterclaiming. They say that during a snowstorm, you failed to plow the driveway, which caused their car to catch on fire. When did this lease begin?
The 1st of August in 2000.
How long was the lease?
It was a month-to-month affair, because this is a property that I was trying to sell.
So you didn't have a written lease?
Yes, I do have a written lease.
Can I see it, please? Okay, so they rented the property on August 1st. When did you first see any damage to the property?
Well, I was getting complaints from neighbors. So
what was the date?
Probably in October. It became obvious that they were having parties there and so forth.
Okay, when was the next time you were alerted that there may be any problem with the property?
Well, as the snow left and I could see that the land was fairly well destroyed all around the place from four-wheeling and so forth, but the final blow, I guess, came when the neighbors were complaining to the point where they were telling me I had to get rid of them. And that's when I went out in the first part of April, you know, discovered the...
I see some pictures there.
Yes.
So let me see the photographs.
Now, I should have sorted through. They're not all wonderful.
Is this a trailer?
It's a mobile home that has been built onto, and it's about 2,000 square foot.
Were these holes in the wall or anything else there when you rented it to them?
No, we were having some leakage with the roof, and they said that they could take care of that if I would buy the materials, which I did, and I have my receipts for that.
What I'm asking you, madam, is I'm going to show you some pictures. What What I'd like you to do is take a look at these photographs and tell me whether this is the way the property looked when you rented it to them.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No.
Would you show this to these two people? What is that?
That's a wall that's falling down.
No, it isn't. It's not a wall that's falling down. You want to explain that to me?
There were holes in the wall that were caused by parties that we had out there.
Okay, period. Good.
That's our refrigerator, Your Honor.
Is that the way it was when you got it?
That was our refrigerator when we moved in.
Oh, good. So I don't have to look at the refrigerator. Perfect. They bought the refrigerator, right? Madam?
That doesn't ring a bell with me.
Well, if it doesn't ring a bell with you, they say that they bought the refrigerator. I trust that they bought the refrigerator.
There were 2 refrigerators there. I'm sorry.
Same party?
Yes.
You got some nerve. What's wrong with you? Huh? What is wrong with you?
Well, in the beginning, when we rented the property, Sherry told us our deposit wasn't for the trailer. She didn't care about the trailer. She said, trash it or fix it. Those were her exact words. She don't care. Trash it or fix it. It's up to you. We fixed it in the first place. The roof got so bad. The house was totally unlivable. There was no hot water, no furnace.
So move. So
That's what we
move.
did.
You weren't being held a prisoner.
Also, before we...
I'm not finished with you. If the trailer is not habitable because there's no heat, no hot water, you have the ability to get out of this lease, right?
Correct.
You don't do this to somebody else's property. Nobody says trash it. Nobody normal. She's not abnormal.
Those were her words. Trash it or fix it.
Bull. Not common sense, unless somebody
No,
is
it's
on
not.
heavy doses of something. And if you live in a place, and assuming that she was having a mental lapse and said that to you, you still don't do this.
Your
So you
Honor,
have to pay for all the damage.
Maybe half the reason why she didn't care that we trashed it is she told me once that she had that trailer insured at over $30,000. It'd make a nice insurance claim. And that trailer is appraised at a little over $3,000 for the whole trailer. The roof damage is well exceeds the $3,000 to have that roof repaired. So basically the trailer is worth nothing. And
Why
she
didn't you
hasn't
just live
insured-
there peacefully? I mean, what joy does somebody get in causing this kind of damage? What joy?
Teenage kids.
When we moved in,
If you're, just a second. Did you move from your family's house into this property?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you do this to your parents' house?
No, Your Honor.
Then you know better. It's not as if you weren't housebroken. You were, in fact, housebroken.
When we moved in, Your Honor, the previous tenant had been convicted of trafficking meth, and the FBI had just done a raid on that exact trailer when we moved in. The place was completely unlivable. We spent over 40 hours fixing it up.
And what did you have to do?
We had to pick up heroin needles.
Motorcycles in our living room, our kitchen.
What did you do
About
with
10
them?
of them.
What did you do with them?
We had the salvage yard come pick them up.
Did you sell them to the salvage yard?
No.
You just gave them away?
Yes.
They were not worth anything. They were torn into parts.
Sherry told us
to get rid of them.
Yeah, she told us that it was our responsibility to clean up the trailer. In the lease it
So
says...
it says that you clean up the trailer. She's selling it as is. So far, I don't hear about anything like this.
Well,
I
when
heard you
we
got
moved
rid of a
in-
lot of junk inside.
The roof was always leaking when we moved in, and we never said it was no problem that we could fix it because the roof was in bad condition when we moved in. She had already had a professional contractor come out there and do the exact same thing that she bought us materials for. And the roof still was leaking, and there was no way we could get it repaired
Why would you fix the roof and do this to the walls?
because the roof was completely collapsing. When we first moved in, we tried as hard as we could to put up the roofing materials, but it didn't stop it. And that whole, there's 3 sections of the trailer. That third
if
section...
you notice that I didn't show you any pictures of the collapsing where it looks like there were leaks coming in. She's got them here. I didn't show you those. Because if you were renting a place and had a leaky roof, I don't hold you responsible for that at all. This I hold you responsible for. This doesn't come from a leaky roof.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry Gregory says former tenants Joel Termott and Chris Bilsbach trashed her property. Joel and Chris say Sherry is a con artist.
According to you, you were just following instructions, right?
Not necessarily following instructions, but knowing in the... You put 3 kids under the age of 19 in a house on a farm. You know what they're going to do, and you tell them they can trash it or fix it.
When we moved out
as a landlord, would any landlord do that and not expect this to happen?
When we moved out there, we told her...
May I please see the estimates of your damage?
Your Honor, I have one statement here from the insurance company which has paid a portion of that, okay?
I want to see the estimates of the damage that were not paid by your insurance.
That's this document.
Let me see what she's got for me. No, listen. First of all, strike out roof leaks, water damage. That was a problem that existed before they moved in, and it's your responsibility to take care of it. Carpet throughout. I can't tell what damage they caused and what damage your previous tenant caused, because it seems to me that you did not examine that property before they moved in.
I did.
No, because I believe them when they said that they found needles in there, motorcycle parts in the trailer, and all that other kind of stuff that you told them to get rid of. Because in your lease it says that they take the property exactly as it's turned over to them. And I believe them because they were at least honest enough to say to me, I caused this, it was parties. And that's what happens when you rent to teenagers. I mean, that's pretty honest and damning. So I believe that there was a lot of junk in that place when they moved in. So how do I know when the damage was done to the carpet?
The carpet thing, the main carpet damage that I was talking about there was just where the roof had leaked and made
strike that. That's your responsibility.
I'm not talking about carpet throughout.
Outside debris cleanup. Do you have a bill for that?
I've got a man out there working now. It's just way too short a time to get a total estimate on it. And with the grass growing tall...
I can't help you unless I have a bill. This is you.
Right.
I need bills.
Your Honor, could I add one thing?
Yes.
She claims that she gave us our eviction notice on the 1st of April. We received our eviction notice on the 20th of April, which she had dated the 1st. Okay. So we'd only have 10 days, 11 days to get out, which was a totally false statement on the eviction notice. We were out within the week, within 7 days. We came out there within the last day, before the end of the month, and there was someone already living out there, cleaning up, doing work out there, re-drywalling, stuff like that. This is all stuff that I'm sure she's not paying him. I'm sure he's living there, he's fixing it up. She's telling him the same exact thing that she told us when we moved in there.
Just a minute.
Fix it.
Doesn't make what you did to the property right.
No.
Okay.
But she's got someone living there while we were still paying rent, while we were still supposed to be living there. She's got someone there just because she knew we were out.
Who's living there now?
The person he's talking about did not have permission to be there at that time. I didn't know that person was there. He was someone that was wanting to rent it because when I called and...
Is he still there?
2 different people.
Who's living there?
Mark.
When did Mark move in?
The 10th or 11th of May.
That's not correct, Your Honor. We went back before the 1st of May, and I went in my room to get some stuff that I still had there, and there was like 3 snakes and a bunch of hamsters living in my bedroom, and that was before the 1st of May.
All right. Interior debris cleanup. Yeah, you're going to pay for that, boys. But I'm allocating $200 to clean it up. Now,
we had till the 1st. We went out there the 28th to clean up that weekend.
Why didn't you clean up before you moved out?
We moved all our personal stuff out.
Why didn't you clean up before you moved out?
This is 7 days after we got the eviction notice. We were out. We went back to clean up on the 7th day. Someone else was already living there.
Okay. Approximately 3 acres. Seeding? You have a bill for that?
My farmer tenant out there will do that work. He has never presented me with his...
Then I can't help you, Miss Gregory. I need bills. How do I know whether it costs $3,000 to reseed 3 acres? How do I know that? All I know is that you can go and you can rent a spreader for $20, and for another $50, you can buy a whole bunch of seed. Is that right?
I'm not a farmer.
Well, I know. I mean, I know a little bit about that, and if you want to, then you spread it. And you spread it, and grass grows. You have $3,000. Ms. Gregory, it's ridiculous. I mean, do you want me to dismiss this case without prejudice, go and get bills, go and get estimates? I'm not going to do anything.
May I say?
Sure.
This is land that is not just needs seeding, it needs completely smoothed out because of all the ruts and everything from the four-wheeling and driving on areas that never should have been driven on.
Well, Ms. Gregory, you have your choice, madam. Do you want me to dismiss your case without prejudice? You can refile it at some later point when you get the estimates for these things. Or do you want me to continue? If I continue, I have no idea what I'm going to come up with. So far, I got $200 because that's what it looks like it would cost anybody to spend 4 hours in cleaning up the mess that they left inside. That's it. What do you want to do? You need proof when you come to court. This is not proof. A prepared statement is not proof of damage.
Well, I asked for this from both the tenant farmer that will do the work on the land and from the guy that is doing the repairs on the house. And he didn't submit that to me. He said, Sherry, the minimum it's going to take on that roof and the water damage part is $2,500.
We didn't cause the roof and water damage on her.
I struck out the water damage because that was a problem before they moved in.
It was supposed to have been repaired by them. I bought them materials to take care of it.
That's your problem. Tenants don't do that. And if you rented the property to two teenagers and you tell them that the roof leaks, I'm going to buy you material and fix it, and if you have a real interest in your property, then what you do is you go back 3 weeks later and check your property and see if it's been done properly. What do you mean,
No, I mean, it's something
How much did you get from the insurance company?
Here,
Just tell me how much you got from the insurance company.
$12,329.31.
Shh, quiet. For all the damage.
For the things that they had listed.
Your Honor, I have a copy from the county assessor appraising the trailer that she got insurance money for.
She got $12,000 from the insurance company. She can take care of the property from that. I just finished plaintiff's case. Let's get to your nonsense. She didn't plow the driveway? Huh?
She told, we live in the middle of the country. The driveway has a very big incline.
Yeah.
Because of that, it's hard to get up when there's a big snow, and the fact that it drifts twice as high as much snowfall as you have.
So
she told us, we were telling her we had problems getting up the driveway. She's like, well, I'll have the farmer or a neighbor come plow the driveway. Never seen it. Never came around.
No. She said have the farmer or the neighbor plow the driveway.
Yeah, someone that she knew that had a plow would come out and
No,
clean our
that's
driveway.
not what you just said. You just said to me, she said to you, have the farmer or the neighbor plow the driveway.
Yes, her as the landlord was going to take care of it. It was her
No,
responsibility.
did she say that?
Yes.
No. I don't believe she said that. She said have one of your neighbors take care of that.
No, she didn't tell us to have it done.
Really?
She said she was going to have it done.
When did she tell you that?
We don't know the farmer. We don't know the neighbors. The
No,
neighbors
they don't
are-
want to know you. I got
The
news
neighbors
for you.
she's talking about, she has sold part of this 80 acres too.
Okay. And when was the first time that you had a problem with snow?
We had,
Give me the date. First date you had a problem with snow.
well, in Nebraska it snows from November till
So the first problem you had was in November?
probably more like October.
So the first problem that you had was in October and you couldn't get your car out?
The thing is it wasn't the fact that I got it stuck, it was the fact I left it at the house and rode to work with him, or rode to school with him, because he had a four-wheel drive. I knew I wouldn't make it out.
Tell me whose car exploded.
That was mine, Your Honor.
Well, how did that happen?
Fire department says it caught on fire.
Don't tell me what the fire department says.
It caught on
That's
fire because
hearsay.
it got stuck
Where did it get stuck?
in the driveway.
Yes, and you tried to start it? I mean,
Sure.
it
was
didn't
running when I got stuck.
spontaneous combustion. It didn't just explode because it wasn't
No,
like
it caught on
sitting
fire. The tires caught the engine on fire.
Yes, because you kept trying to move it. I assume you were trying to move it.
Well, as soon as it got stuck, yes, I tried getting out. I didn't try and get out for, 10 minutes. I tried to get out, 30 seconds. I knew I was stuck. I mean, it was buried. The car was completely not going anywhere. I turned it off, walked up to the house in sub-negative 30-degree weather, went up to the house, and I couldn't see the car from the driveway. The car burned up. The fire department called me, said, your car's on fire.
Oh, okay. So what do you want from me? What do you want from her?
Well, it's a countersuit. She said, and as a landlord, she was going to take care of having the driveway plowed.
And if she didn't take care of
She
it,
told me
starting,
she was
listen,
gonna-
hey, listen to me carefully. When did your car catch on fire? What month?
December.
December. If she told you initially, and you say it starts to snow in October in Nebraska, that she was going to plow, and she didn't plow, you know what you do? Move! October, move November, move December. You're not a prisoner there. You don't like the leaks, you move. You don't like the heat, you move. You don't trash it. You don't blame her for anything. You get out. So, you got $12,000 from the insurance company? Good. You have no case because you have no proof of any additional damage. You have no case. Period. Driveway wasn't plowed. You don't want to get out a shovel and plow your car. You drive with him. He couldn't move his car. Move. Don't rent to teenagers anymore. Goodbye.
This is case number 174 on the calendar in the matter of Lopez versus Gonzalez. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Lopez, you and the defendant have a child together. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
It is your complaint that the defendant had you arrested on false charges of assault, domestic violence, and you want to be compensated for that. And in addition, you want a home entertainment center that you say was yours, that is in the defendant's home. The defendant says that the home entertainment center was a gift. You did, in fact, assault her, and she is counterclaiming for her injuries.
I don't have nothing. He took everything.
Defendant says the home entertainment center was a gift. Do you still have it?
No, he took everything.
She doesn't have it. And that you did, in fact, assault her. And her counterclaim is for the injuries that she suffered during the course of this assault, which occurred around Christmas time. Is that right?
Christmas Day.
Okay. All right, Mr. Lopez. Were you living with the defendant at the time that you were arrested?
I was moving out. I was in the moving out.
He was already a week out.
I'm going to get to you in a minute, but don't interrupt him. What do you mean you were in the process of moving out? What does that mean?
The day after Thanksgiving, we had a really big argument and we had broken up. So we made an agreement by no later than the first week of January that I had to have everything of mine moved out and be completely moved out. I was staying between there, like one or few days if I babysitted my son, or I stood at my best friend's house or my mother's house.
So most of the time you weren't living there?
Yes.
All right. So tell me about Christmas Day. You came over to the house?
What happened was we agreed to meet up at my best friend's house. We picked up my son and her son, her other child, and we agreed to go back to her house, to her apartment, and open up the children's gifts together. And from there, when we arrived at the home, we opened the gifts. She asked me to stay a little bit longer while she took a shower so I could watch the children. I agreed. At that time, I received a phone call from my fiancé on my fiancé's cell phone, just before she went to the bathroom to take a shower. At that time, I was speaking to her. I explained to her what time I was going to be finished. I explained to her that she was going to take a shower and I was going to meet up with her right after. At that time, she began screaming, saying stuff that didn't need to be said over the phone for my fiancé to hear. So at that time, I said, why are you acting up? You know what? I'm not going to stay. I'm leaving. She began an argument. I tried to leave. I had my son in my arms with the cell phone. She wouldn't let me leave. So I said, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm leaving my son. I put my son down in the crib. At that time, I dropped the cell phone in the crib without knowledge when I put my son down. I tried to leave. She blocked the doorway. I kept on explaining to her, move, move. I want to leave. I'm not staying. I'm out. She didn't want to let me. So then I barged through. She had her arms spread out against the doorway, holding me, not letting me go. So when I barged through so I could leave, she scratched her arm. So I left. When I got outside, I went to go call my fiancé.
That is not your
And when I got downstairs,
Ms. Gonzalez, I don't want to hear it's not true again. Do you understand?
No problem.
No, that's not an answer. The answer is yes, Your Honor, I understand. I will not interrupt again.
Yes, Your Honor, I understand. I will not interrupt again.
That's right. Go ahead.
So outside, I went to make an attempt to call my fiancé, and I noticed I didn't have the phone. So when I went back upstairs...
That was stupid.
Because the phone was upstairs.
That was stupid.
I went and I looked for the phone.
Say yes, that was stupid.
Yes, it was stupid. So I asked her if she had the cell phone.
You just gotten out of the house. You pushed her. She scratched her arm, according to you. You leave the cell phone and you go. You don't go back into a confrontational area, sir. That's stupid, Mr. Lopez.
Yes, Your
All
Honor.
right, so you go back upstairs. What happened when you went back upstairs?
When I got upstairs, I asked her, did she have the cell phone? She says, I don't have it. So as I looked through the house, I remembered I had it in my hand when I put my son down. When I looked into the crib, my son wasn't in the crib. I went and found my cell phone under the sheet. Again, I attempted to leave. Again, she blocked my way. I said, just move, then move. At that time, she told me she had called the cops and I was going to be arrested. I said, well, I'm leaving. And outside the door, a lady, which I had never seen before in this building, for the whole year I was living there, had my son. As I attempted to take my son from the lady, 2 female officers were coming upstairs.
What were you taking your son from the lady for?
I didn't know the lady. If I don't know the person, I don't want nobody I don't know having my son in my hands. I don't know what they'll do. So the 2 officers were downstairs. They came, and they brought us all into the apartment, me, her, and the 2 kids. While we were in the apartment, the officers explained because this a domestic problem, they were going to arrest both of us. At that time, they would take both children and put them in child custody. I said, I'm not pressing no charges, I don't want nothing, I just want to go home. My son can stay, I have no problem. At that time, the female officer told me to stand by the door, don't move. So at that time, there was a knock at the door. 2 more officers came, 2 male officers now. We go back inside, she's in there screaming. Next thing you know, all I hear is her mother screaming at me, Jason, I wouldn't do this to you, and she said, why are you doing this? I said, what's going on? The officer said, turn around, and they handcuffed me. Later, when I was taken down to central booking for arrest, I was informed of the charges. It was assault, assault with weapon, child endangerment. They said I put a knife to my son's back. At no time did I ever touch a knife to grapple against my son. Because of that, I had charges of an ACS for attempted on my child, and
All right, you were held in jail for 2 days, is that right?
for, yeah, almost 2 days. I called my fiance.
All right, the charges were subsequently dismissed when you decided to drop all charges against each other, is that right?
Yeah.
Do you see your son now so regularly?
No.
Why not?
I still can't, because she won't let me see my son.
Uh-huh.
It's a struggle for me to see my son.
All right.
And every time we went to family court for me to get a chance to see my son, she made false charges, knowing I was going to get visitation of my son, then I'm arrested.
Okay. I'd like to see first the medical bills that you have as a result of this incident on Christmas Day.
I didn't get to get the medical bills because this happened so quick that I didn't get a chance to get them. So I have my pictures.
Let me see all the papers you have. All the papers.
Your Honor, Judy.
Shh, just a minute.
I have a scar on my left hand.
Just a minute.
And the lady that
Just a
called,
second. These scratches are what you're talking about?
Yeah, I had a scratch.
All right.
I had a hairline fracture in my left hand.
Don't tell me you had a hairline fracture without any medical bills, without reports. Don't tell me about a hairline fracture.
Excuse me, Judge?
Shh. I'll get to you in a minute.
Thank you.
I have a few questions for Ms. Gonzalez. The police officer who took this report took your statement, is that right?
Yes, and on the statement.
I'm speaking. The police officer who took the report took your statement, and he read the statement to you, is that right?
Yes, he did.
And after he read the statement, he asked you if it was accurate, is that right?
Yes, he did.
And you said it was accurate, is that right?
That's right.
And you signed it.
Yes.
And you wouldn't have left out anything vitally important, is that right?
No.
So I'm going to read what you wrote in the statement.
I didn't write that. The officer.
What the I don't care whether you wrote it or the officer wrote it. I just asked you whether he read it to you and whether you signed it. You said yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jason Lopez says ex-girlfriend Suhey Gonzalez had him falsely arrested for domestic abuse. Suhey claims Jason slammed her hand in a door and held a knife to their son's throat.
All right, Ms. Gonzalez, I'm going to read what you wrote in this police report. It says, at the time and place listed above, the perpetrator, that's him, who was the victim's common-law husband, did grab the victim by her throat, choked her, at which time he forced her left hand between the door and the wall and repeatedly slammed the door on the victim's hand, causing substantial pain and swelling to the victim's left hand. That's what this says, okay? Now I'm going to tell you what you wrote in your answer. When I told him to leave, he grabbed our son and tried to take him. When I tried to stop him, he pulled a knife out and held it to my son's neck. He said, if you don't let me take him, I'll kill both of us.
No, they didn't write it in the police.
They wrote nothing about a knife threatening to kill himself, threatening to kill this child. You know why they didn't write that down? Because you didn't tell them that.
Is that you?
No. Because you didn't tell them that.
All right, I didn't tell them exactly at the time.
Right, at the
because
time.
they had me in a separate room,
Hey,
they had him outside.
Just a second. At the time, you didn't tell them that he took out a knife, he held it to the baby's throat, he threatened to kill the baby. You told them that he hurt your hand and your hand was in pain, not that he threatened to kill your child. You made that up later.
No, I did not.
Oh, yes, you did.
Oh, no, I did not.
Oh, yes, you did.
They knew that he was the one. Can I say something now?
Yeah.
In that police report, the lady signed, she's the one who signed right next to the statement. not me. Because I didn't call the cops because he broke my phone, and that's why. I didn't call the cops. The lady from my building called the cops. She's the one who had both of my kids because my oldest was crying. She's the one who called the cops.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance to call the cops.
Here we go.
Because he wanted to take my son, just like he took my son 3 weeks ago.
Let me explain to you what got you angry, Miss Gonzalez. I've been in this business a long time. He's at your house. According to your answer, he told you a couple of weeks before or a month before, he didn't want to have, I'm speaking, that he didn't want to have anything to do with you anymore. He had a new girlfriend. Clearly, he has a new girlfriend. All right?
Excuse me.
I'm speaking. I'm speaking. He comes over to your house, right? According to your answer. You open up the Christmas presents together. It's all a nice family situation. You ask him to watch the kids while you go take a shower. This is what you write here. When you come out of the shower, you hear him on the phone with his girlfriend. I'm not saying that that's what happened to her. I'm saying that that's what she wrote in her answer. That makes one very angry.
Of course.
Of course. Of course that makes you very angry because there you're here with him, with a new baby. He's taking care of the baby's presents. He's in your house Christmas time, and he's going to say goodbye to you, and he's going to go to girlfriend number...
And it was just a week that we had broken up.
Fine. So you're really angry. The knife was a nice touch. He wasn't arrested with a knife. He wasn't arrested with a knife. You know what I'm talking about.
And
you know what I'm talking about.
And I know what happened.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what happened. Because he tried to take my son. He tried to take my son.
Just a second. What do you mean?
That's how... Who called my mother?
Miss Gonzalez.
Who called my mother? The lady?
Miss Gonzalez.
That called the cops?
Miss Gonzalez. Is he the father?
Yes, he's the father. And I'm not saying that he's not.
I'm speaking. Is he the father?
Yes.
Then you have no greater right to this child than he does.
But he kidnapped my son for 3 weeks.
He can't. You can't kidnap your own child unless there's an order of custody.
This is recently. We've been going through this. I just want to go on with my life. I want him to go on with his life. If he wants to see his son, he's more than welcome to see his son. I have nothing wrong with that. But he cannot see his son because he had order of protection.
Then they're going to put you out. When you claim that you were severely assaulted, and the best picture that you can come up with is a picture showing me 2 scratches on your arm, 2 scratches. That's what they are. No hairline fracture, no hospital records, no... Well, all right. This was an argument. And unfortunately, because the police take domestic violence seriously, as they should, they got to arrest somebody.
And I lost my securities license.
Mr. Lopez, you do not get an A+ for smarts. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't get an A+ for going back for a $39.99 cell phone after you have already had an altercation with her, and you were out of the problem. You were outside.
Because he never went outside.
Excuse me?
Because he never went outside.
Because you wouldn't let him go outside, Miss Gonzalez,
because he was trying to kidnap my son. He was trying to take my son. And he's devious like that, that he would take my son and leave. Just like he did 3 weeks ago. And that's why he was going to get rearrested. I had to get the cops to come get my son from his house.
You keep saying my son.
Because he's my son. Because he don't pay no child support. He doesn't do nothing.
What do you do for a living?
He hasn't done nothing.
What do you do for a living?
I was working.
What do you do for a living now?
Nothing.
Who supports the child?
I do.
No, not if you're not working. You get welfare?
Yes, I do.
If you get welfare, then I support your son. You think I should take him?
Yeah, but I was working.
Just a second. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? He doesn't support his child, and you don't support your child. I support your child. So that mean that I should get custody? Don't be ridiculous. Pardon, Ms. Gonzalez. You keep saying, it's my child. He's taking my child. He's entitled to see his child. It doesn't sound to me like he's too bright. Because he went from this child, you're going to have another child? You keep rubbing your belly, right?
Yes.
You got enough trouble with one. You're going to make another one?
Yep.
How many more do you have?
That's the only one. The only one that I'm coming.
In any event, I read the police report. I read the police report that doesn't talk about a knife to the throat, threatened to kill the child, threatened to kill anybody, and I see 2 scratches on your arm. You also, sir, yeah, you want to play that for me?
Yes, I even have an
Go
audio
ahead,
tape of
let
her
me hear it.
saying,
But I still can't get over the fact why you had me arrested.
Because I was just upset. Things were going through my mind. I'm admitting I'm sorry.
Oh, so you're admitting that you did get me arrested?
This is why he was...
This chick, because I was with another chick?
No, it wasn't only because of that. It was because of a lot of things, Jason.
Oh, okay. But then why did you tell him I punched you in your face, I choked the out of you?
No, I didn't say that.
Gigi, the DA said that in the court.
Mr. Lopez, I didn't even have to listen to that. I mean, I've heard this, I've been around this business now for 27 years. right? And I know, when I read your papers, I see her affect, right? And I know exactly what happened. That doesn't mean that you were smart, A, as I said, to go back to the cell phone, B, to get a telephone call from your girlfriend. Tell your girlfriend, don't call me until I call you. I don't want to create any more problems with her. I'm going to open presents with the children. Don't call me. That creates a problem.
We had already opened the gifts. This was around the time I was getting ready to leave.
She shouldn't have called you. And you shouldn't have spoken to her. Say, this is a tacky problem. I don't want there to be any problem with her. Don't call me. I'll be there. I'll be home when I'm home. And the reason she called is because it's a little territorial. She's not so happy either. You're going over to visit mother number 1. She's going to be mother number 2. You know, you got to be smart.
She wasn't pregnant at the time.
2 months later. Wow,
now
big
she
difference.
is. Now she is. Right? And on your security job, you can hardly afford to pay for yourself.
I don't have work.
Listen to me, sir. When you had a security job, you could hardly afford to pay for 1 child. Now you're going to have 2. Did you pay for a lawyer? No. They gave you a free lawyer.
Yes.
You spent a couple of days in jail.
Yes.
You shouldn't have.
And so did I, because he falsely arrested me.
For what?
He said that I made phone harassment. On June 30th, he called me. I have the phone records for that. He called me with my own phone card that he rung up. He falsely arrested me on June 31st. I got arrested. I made the report on June 30th. As soon as the time right after he called me and called them and let them know that he was calling me and harassing me. And he called me with my own phone card. And right after that, he calls his girlfriend and his mother.
No. No.
Ms. Gonzalez, your counterclaim is for the assault that you claim he perpetrated on you
And
on
false
Christmas
arrest.
Day.
It says it on the paper.
And according to your complaint, you are filing for injuries and damages due to the alleged assault. Okay? You do say somewhere in your answer that he filed false charges, but the damages you are requesting are for the assault. And I don't find that he assaulted you, so your counterclaim is dismissed. The only thing that I have to consider now is whether there was an argument and whether, as a result of false statements that you made and continue to make and continue to embellish to the police.
Not me,
Betty,
because
I'm
I wanna go on with my life. He's the one who brings me here. For what?
He brought you here
For
because
what? He keeps calling me and harassing me.
Listen to me. He's known you a long time. I've met you now for about 15 minutes, and I don't think he's crazy. And I wouldn't precipitate phone calls and contact with you because I think that you're an angry lady. I think that you feel as if he jilted you, that he left you high and dry with your baby, and now he's got somebody else. All of those things, doesn't pay child support, you're not working, but that doesn't give you the right to have him arrested and make false allegations, which I believe that you did, and I'm awarding him $1,000 on his claim. That's all. By the way, she doesn't have your entertainment center.
Yes, she
That's
does.
all.
Your Honor, when we went there, the officers explained.
Well, here's our excuse. You may step out. Yes.
And now the next case.
All parties on Williams versus Hume. Step forward, please.
19-year-old student Jennifer Williams is suing her ex-boyfriend, 19-year-old student Michael Hume, for attorney's fees, money loaned, and for kicking down her door.
Miss Williams, the defendant is a former boyfriend of yours. I gather you were arrested on some sort of a warrant from when you were a juvenile. Is that right?
Probation violation.
And at that time, according to you, Miss Williams, he's in jail, and you loaned him some money to buy some socks and other toothpaste, I guess, combs,
Yes, ma'am.
shaving stuff. That wasn't a lot of money. How much was it?
$200.
Did he ask you for that money?
He asked for the money to be put in his account. I said I would do it as long as he paid me back.
Did you say that to him?
Yes, I did.
You remember that?
Not at all. I don't.
Do me a favor, don't laugh.
Sorry.
Did she put any money into your account?
Yes, she did.
How much?
She did 200.
How did she know you needed money in your account?
Well, I made phone calls.
And what did you say?
I said that we have commissary and I would like some money, and she sent me money. Some of that money, I was under the understanding that some of that money came out of one of my paychecks when I was working security before I was incarcerated.
Did you have any paychecks of his that he got after?
No, ma'am. None of the money that was put into his commissary account came out of his paycheck. That all came out of my paychecks.
Where was his paycheck?
At Sandy's house, who was his employer at the time. It was at her house.
So you never got his
No,
paycheck?
ma'am.
Okay. Now let's talk about the lawyer, because that's a much bigger bill. You say that you paid for his lawyer.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much was that?
Well, I had thought it was $1,100. I have the receipts. It says it was $1,200.
But you sued for 11.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's it.
Okay. Tell me how come you paid for his lawyer?
I went to go see him in jail. It was originally understood he was going to get a court-appointed lawyer. Then he had called me and said he didn't want a court-appointed lawyer, that he had wanted a real lawyer. And then the next day when I had gone to see him in jail, I told him I would pay for the lawyer as long as he paid me back when he got out of jail.
A lot of that is false.
Just tell me the story, sir.
Okay.
And try standing up straight and looking at me.
Sorry.
Good.
Now,
looking at me.
basically,
I'm not there. I'm here.
okay, sorry. I told both her and her mother that I was fine with a court-appointed lawyer. I didn't agree to pay them back at all. I also it was never in writing or anything. I'd never said that. It was just never said. I was just under the understanding that she was paying for my lawyer to be nice because she loved me, blah, 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 you know.
There's a lot there to love.
Thanks.
Well, if you didn't want her to pay for your lawyer and if you were just as happy with the public defender, why didn't you just say to the lawyer when the lawyer came to see you in jail, I have a lawyer, thank you very much, I don't need a lawyer.
Well, I didn't have a court-appointed lawyer yet.
So you had no lawyer and you're sitting in jail?
Not yet. I hadn't.
Just pay attention.
Okay.
You had no lawyer and you're sitting in jail. How old are you?
19.
Had you been in jail before?
Yes.
For how long?
Around 2 months.
Did you know her then?
No, no, I did not.
When you met him, had you known that he had spent some time in jail?
The first time I met him was when we were both working at Friendly's. I didn't find out he was in jail then until the third week we knew each other. We weren't dating yet.
But then you found out that he had been incarcerated. Did you know what for?
Over the months we had dated, he had explained things. All I knew is that he had a probation violation, possession of marijuana, possession of a controlled substance, eluding the police. The list goes on and on.
You still on probation?
No.
So you're not drug screened anymore, is that
No.
right?
Correct.
How did I know that?
You're really intelligent.
You're really right. What else?
Well, as far as him for telling you that he had never said he would pay me back, my witness was there. At the time, she is my mother. She was in the room with us when he said it.
Let me hear you. Miss Williams?
Yes.
Let me hear what you heard. Where were you first?
We were in the lawyer's office. His father had mentioned, I'm not going to pay for your lawyer. And Michael had said, I will pay you back.
So you were all sitting together?
Yes. And the first time we had talked about the lawyer, I had gone with my daughter to see him in jail. And he said, don't worry, Ma, I'll pay you back when I get out of jail and I get a job.
Is that what he called you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. What else?
He put a hole in my door, my bedroom door, when we were fighting one night.
Forget it. Let me tell you something. Was this after he got out of jail?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
After he got out of jail, I wouldn't have let him back in my bedroom at all.
And I was very stupid to do so.
Fine. Then you pay for the door out of your own stupidity.
All right.
Where are you working now? What is that around your neck?
This? Necklaces.
One or more?
2.
What are they made out of?
Just aluminum and metal.
Mm-hmm. Where are you working now?
Right now, I'm actually not working. I'm applying, though, at various jobs.
Who are you living with?
I'm living with my friend.
This friend?
No, not this friend.
What kind of friend?
He restores cars.
What else does he do? Does he sell? Is he a business person?
No, not at all.
Does he sell anything
No.
other than restoring cars?
No,
No.
People want him to sell his car, but he won't do it.
I wasn't talking about cars necessarily. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,300, that's all.
Parties are excused.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Luster versus Fair. Step forward.
22-year-old makeup artist Kelly Luster is suing her ex-boyfriend, 33-year-old general contractor Herbert Fair, for unpaid credit card charges and for the balance of a computer.
Ms. Luster, according to your complaint, the defendant is your former boyfriend.
Correct.
And there was a time when you allowed him to make purchases on a credit card.
Correct.
When you broke up, you put a stop on that credit card and said that you no longer wanted him to be able to make purchases on it, and the next day or something he made $677 worth of payments on the credit card. You say that there have been no payments on that amount and you want him to pay you that amount because you're not together anymore and you don't want to be bothered with him and come chasing him, and the bank is looking for you and it affects your credit.
Correct.
In addition, you allowed him to purchase a computer on your credit card.
We opened up a gateway account, and it was under my name because I had good credit. And we paid the payments together. We lived together for about 3 years, and the payments were fine. We paid them together. And as soon as we broke up, I was paying the payments, and the computer remained at his house.
He agrees that he put that money on the credit card, $677.
I do.
And what's left on the computer is what?
The amount is $1,357.88.
Now, Mr. Fair says he did pay for a substantial amount of the computer, and he does acknowledge that there is an additional amount owing on the computer. His defense is that he made some sort of a loan for some plastic surgery that you had.
It doesn't matter what the loan was, Your Honor. I just basically...
He loaned me money.
I lent her money.
Well, that's what you say in your answer.
Doesn't
so
matter
you want
what
to tell
it
me
is.
about this loan that you say negates the $677 as well as the $1,357 that's left on the computer that is in your possession.
This is true.
Well, tell me.
Well,
What
basically,
loan did you make her?
I gave her a loan. It doesn't really matter what it was. I mean, I was with her for 3.5 years, and I was basically, putting her through school and doing some things, for her. And basically, I felt that I didn't have to make the payments no more on the computer because of so much money that I had invested into this relationship as well.
Your Honor, I paid him back the loan that he gave to me. So that has nothing to do with the computer. I paid him back every single dime that he lent me. So it has nothing...
Did you?
Yes.
But she was supposed to pay me back, but she didn't pay me back on time.
But I still paid him back. He was still paid back. I mean...
How much did you borrow from him?
I borrowed $3,000 from him, and he was paid back every single dime.
Is
He
that
wasn't
correct,
paid
sir?
back exactly.
I was paid it back, yeah, but not the time that I was told that I was going to be paid back.
Were you paid back before you broke up?
Yes.
Yes.
So it wasn't an issue?
Yes, I don't even know why he's even bringing that up. I think he's just using that because he knows that he owes me for these things.
So what is your defense, sir? I don't know what your defense is, Mr. Fair. If that's
Well,
not your
basically,
defense...
I mean, like I said, 3.5 years of being into this relationship with her and stuff, and I took care of her basically for 3.5 years. I felt that I didn't need to pay these both bills, and these are basically it between her and I. So.
As you can see why I don't want to be with him any longer. I paid him back every single dime that...
He says that you paid him back.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with the money that he owes me. And he knows that he owes me this money, and he's just trying to make excuses and make up stupid things. I even have proof. I have the bills, if you want to see them.
He doesn't deny the bills, Miss Luster. He doesn't deny the bills, and he doesn't have a defense. So judgment
never does.
Judgment is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,034.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, excuse, you may step out. This is case number 402 on the calendar in the matter of Hickey versus Deeks. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Mr. and Mrs. Hickey, the defendant's son and your son were playing with BB guns. According to your complaint, the defendant's son shot your son in the mouth with a BB gun, causing his tooth to fall out. The dental bills for that amount to some $3,800, and you want the defendant and his father to be responsible for those bills. Which of the boys was shot in the mouth?
Jacob, the oldest one.
You. The defendant's position is that despite the fact that immediately after this incident he signed a note indicating he would be responsible for the bills, he signed that under some duress, and that he immediately recanted by sending you another letter indicating he would not pay for all the bills, and that as a matter of fact his son was also shot with a BB, albeit in his rear end. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. When did this incident happen with the BB guns? And would you stand up here, sir? When did it happen?
November 19th of 2001.
Where did it happen?
In my backyard. It's on the side of the house is actually where he got shot.
Were you at home at the time?
No.
Whose BB guns were they?
We owned one, and Mike owned the other.
When did you buy your son a BB gun?
It was my mother's, and she gave it to my son for a present.
Why?
He just used it to, he had targets that he used to shoot and shoot signs, and it actually was my smallest son's gun, Eric's gun.
That's pretty stupid.
No, we have targets and we shoot all the time.
Well, so
plus 100s and stuff like that.
Sir, what is your first name?
Jacob.
Jacob, did you shoot the defendant with the BB gun and it hit him in the behind?
Yes, but it was by accident. I didn't mean
I
to
don't
shoot
care whether it was by accident or on purpose. I assume that you wouldn't do anything on purpose to hit him with the gun. Is that right?
Yeah.
You were playing around.
Yeah.
And you shot him in the behind.
Yeah, by accident.
Was that before or after he shot you in the face?
Before.
Was it immediately before?
No, it was like about 5 or 10 minutes before.
So when you shot him in the behind, did he say anything to you?
No, he just like, no, he didn't mind. He like 5 or 10 minutes after, we were all pals.
You were all pals. So he was friendly to you after you shot him
Yeah.
in the behind. And it was an accident.
Yes.
Now, I want you to tell me how it came about that you got shot in the face.
Well, me and Mike were just like, they're hanging around, and I went to talk to my little brother.
Don't start from the beginning.
Okay.
We're not going back to Noah's Ark. Okay. You shot him in the behind by accident. Yes. Then you were playing around for another 10 minutes.
Yes.
Immediately before you got shot in the mouth, what were you doing?
Before I got shot in the chest, I was hiding behind this board, and I put down the BB gun.
What were you hiding behind the board for?
To hide from getting shot, because I couldn't run to my house. I was afraid of...
Well, was he aiming at you?
Yes.
Your Honor...
Shh.
Excuse me?
He was aiming at you?
Yes.
What did you say to him when he was aiming at you?
I yelled, stop, like at least maybe 5 or 10 times.
Did he say why he was aiming at you?
No.
Were you playing at this time?
No.
What were you doing? You were being serious?
Yes, he was being serious. I think he was trying to either get back at me for accidentally shooting him.
When you say you accidentally shot him and you hit his body,
yeah.
Where were you aiming?
At the ground. It ricocheted off the ground and hit him.
That's not a target.
No.
Sir, I'm not speaking to you unless you were home, right? So you were shooting around his feet?
Yeah, it was like he was maybe a few inches from the ground to where I was pointing the gun at.
But he had turned around. His back was towards you, sir,
yes.
Because if you hit him in the behind, that means that he was moving away from you.
Yes, I think he was looking at his gun. I think he was loading his gun with bullets.
Just a second. So he was loading his gun with bullets, and you shot.
Yeah, well, I was checking the safety, and I pulled the trigger, and the safety wasn't on the way in, and it ricochets off the ground and hits him.
All right. Now, Mr. Deeks, I want you to tell me how it came about, sir, that you hit him in the mouth with a BB.
Okay. That day, the bus missed us right off the bat, so we stayed at his house, and we were, like, playing video games. We ordered a pizza, and so then about half an hour later, after we watched a movie, we went out in his backyard and started shooting at trees and stuff with his BB gun. And then he said, let's go down and get my BB gun. So we walked down to my house, and on the way down to my house, that's when he shot me, when we were walking and I was walking in front of him. So it hurt, and so I just got up and we kept walking to my house, and we got my pellets, because we were like shooting at birds and stuff. So then we walked back to his house, and he said, let's play one pump war, which is you pump the gun one time and you shoot at each other. And we were at least 100 feet away from each other, like a big field. And
Just a minute, does one pump war sound familiar to you, sir?
No, I never said that.
Go ahead.
And then he started shooting at me, and Eric was with me by the road, and pellets were like flying by our heads and everything, and Eric said, let me shoot the gun. So I said,
That's
okay.
a lie.
And I let Eric use the gun, and Eric shot the gun and shot Jake. Like the second shot he shot, it hit Jake. And I tried to cover for his brother and say that I was the one that shot it, and he repeated, no, that was my brother, and you didn't shoot it. So, and then he was yelling at his brother. So then he immediately after that started shooting back at us and almost hit Eric. So I told Eric, go away before you get hit. So then he was hiding behind boards with one of my friends, Robbie, and I couldn't see anything, so I just took a shot, and all of a sudden I walk up there and he's out in the middle of the yard, and I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, you shot me in my face. And I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. And then he said I did it on purpose, and there's no way I could shoot it with a $30 BB gun 100 feet away.
And for him to shoot me in my tooth, he would have to directly aim at my face.
Your Honor, Eric can tell you, because he was there through the whole thing, he can tell you what happened too.
Mm-hmm.
He shot my little brother too, in the head.
And so
you shot him.
No,
you shot your own brother.
Shh. Neither of you were there. You shot him. The first person who got hit with a BB was him. Put your hand down. Listen, when parents permit their children to have instruments that can cause damage to each other, they make a big mistake, and then they come and they cry. Somebody, first of all, should have been home in your house to ensure the fact that if your son missed the school bus, somebody drove him to school so that he wasn't home all day being unsupervised. Did your younger son miss the school bus too?
No.
Did not. So he went to school that day.
That's right.
So that they were playing around all day with these BB guns until Eric came home. Is that right?
That's right.
And then Eric was out in the field with them as well. Is that right, Eric? Stand up here. Is that right, young man? You were out there too?
Yes.
Did you ever have a BB gun in your hand?
No.
You never held a BB gun?
Nope.
Just your brother and his friend?
Yep.
Now I want you to point someplace in this room. Let's say your brother was standing where I'm sitting at the time that he got hit in the face. I want you to point someplace in the room and show me where this young man was standing when he shot him in the face. Look around the room, and if you tell me that there's no place in the room, that's fine too. Look all around the room.
Where was he standing, Eric? Where was Mike standing when he shot Jacob? How far?
Nowhere.
What?
Nowhere in this room.
Nowhere in this room, so it was further. Was it twice as far?
Right.
3 times as far?
3 times.
3 times as far as anywhere in this room. Is that right?
Yep.
Sit down, Eric.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 15-year-old Jacob Hickey says neighbor 13-year-old Mike Deeks shot him in the mouth with a BB gun. Mike says Jacob shot him in the behind.
So you believe, Mr. and Mrs. Hickey, that the defendant should be totally responsible for any injuries caused to your son?
Yes.
Wrong. Wrong. You are suggesting that Mr. Deeks purposely, from 3 times the distance of this courtroom, aimed and shot at your son successfully, getting him in the tooth.
I don't know if Eric understood that question.
It wasn't that far.
Just a second. You weren't there, and that's what he said.
Well, I know where he said he was.
Just a second. You weren't there, and that's what he said.
He's on probation for violence in the first place, so he is susceptible to
That
this
has
stuff.
nothing to do with this case.
Yeah,
Your Honor.
I'm
In
off
fact,
probation.
he used that to bribe me into signing the note in the first place, and
All
I
right,
would
now,
pay the bill.
let's get to the note.
You begged us not to call the cops.
Mr. Hickey, Mr. Hickey,
Okay, ma'am.
listen to me, sir. But for the fact that your son had a BB gun that day, you wouldn't be here today.
True.
Now, there came a time, according to what I've read in these papers, that the defendant, Mr. Deeks, signed a note.
Mm-hmm.
Can I see the note, please?
Sure.
Now, I'd like you to tell me the circumstances of this note. When was it written?
It was written that evening that it happened.
Did you go to his house, or did he come to your
Brian
house?
did. Brian went to his house.
You went to his house?
Yes.
What did you say to him when you went to his house?
He was asking me not to call the cops because his son was on probation for breaking in and entering in the house
Yes.
in my neighborhood.
Yes.
And
Just talk to me.
right. So I said, I don't have a problem with not calling the cops, but I said, I need the medical bills to be paid for. I said, we're not, we don't have a ton of money to pay for this stuff. And he agreed.
Okay. And give me your version of what Mr. Hickey said to you when he came over.
Basically,
No, not basically. What did he say to you, Mr.
okay,
Deeks?
he said that Michael had instigated his shooting, that Michael had shot his son. So I signed
did
the
he say?
note. Of course, I was scared for my son. I was
No.
scared for his son.
What did he say to you, sir, with regard to calling the police?
He said.
Now, what did he say
said
to
if
you?
I would agree to pay all the medical bills and to pay pain and suffering for his son, then he would not call the police.
All right, and then there came a time when you had second thoughts. You had an opportunity to speak to your son.
Yes, ma'am.
You say that you wrote him a letter.
Yes, I have that here.
Can I see the letter that you wrote to him? I want to see when you wrote the letter to him. Mr. Hickey, once you received this letter, you were advised that the defendant did not intend to pay for the entire dental bill for your son, but thought it was only reasonable that he should pay for half. Did you go to the police?
That night I called the police.
And I had the report.
Because also one thing, I always taught my boys to keep their guns down because that's proper gun safety when you're not firing your gun to keep it pointed away and down. And also, Mike was the one that instigated the shooting on my son. My son did not shoot back at him. Okay, as far as
You weren't there, and you don't know. Just understand this, Mr. Hickey. Despite the fact that you've given your son all kinds of lessons on gun safety, the first person that was hit was the defendant.
Right.
Just a second, by your son. Now, I understand from this letter, Mr. Deeks, that you took some photographs
Yes, ma'am.
of the injury to your son behind. I'd like to see them.
He doesn't want you to, but...
Well, that's too... that comes under the cat...
That was through blue jeans and boxer shorts.
Getting a 2 shutouts is a lot worse than getting shot in the butt.
So?
And a lot worse damage.
So? They're 2 stupid kids. He started it, and he finished it better. I think both of them were probably accidents.
Jake, his was not an accident.
Well, you may say it's
Also,
not. Yeah, can I see the dental bills, please? You folks just don't get it.
Do you want the police report?
I don't care about the police report. The police did not arrest him for that. You know why the police didn't arrest him for that? You want to know why? Because your son shot him first. That's why.
Miss Judy, also, he shot my son 4 times, shot my little son 3 times,
can tell you that.
and shot my dog 2 or 3 times also.
Purposely.
Purposely.
Did you take the BB gun away from your son?
That was the same day.
Yes, and plus I got his BB gun and destroyed it the same day.
And they
as
both
happened
have
to.
this gun still
Your Honor,
in their possession.
his little son and a kid named Sean were walking down the street with my BB gun like a month later, and with holding a pigeon in their hand. And I talked to Josh, his littlest son, and Josh
Don't tell me what Josh told you. I think that you're both way out of line, and I think that, listen to me, I think that the defendant is being more than reasonable with you when he says to you, I believe that I should be responsible for half of the dental bills and that you should be responsible for half of the dental bills for your son. And if you don't think so, then I'm not going to spend any more of my very valuable time trying to convince you. Now, these 2 boys were engaged in play. There is no indication that the defendant was a marksman, any more than your son being a marksman. You 3 parents
What about him
both
shooting
very
my other kids? I mean,
I'm not interested in him shooting your other kids. All I know is I have photographs that the first person who was injured as a result of this BB play was him.
it shows he intentionally shot my other kids.
No, it doesn't.
And they were not armed. So, okay?
Get over it.
You know where his heart...
Get over it. Get over it. You're being thick. You allowed your children to have weapons that could cause injury, both of you. Therefore, you are both responsible, especially since, put your hand down and get your hand out of your pocket, especially since your son, whether by accident or on purpose, and it certainly wasn't by accident because he aimed at the ground as the defendant was walking away. He didn't aim in the air. He aimed, according to his own statement, at the ground at his feet, and it ricocheted. Now, that's his statement. That's not teaching him how to handle a gun. You handle a gun, you want to shoot at targets. According to you, they only shoot at targets. That's not a target. The back of his feet isn't a target.
Your Honor,
Don't speak. You acted stupid. He was stupid. You were all stupid for not making sure that your sons were in school that day. What?
Well, first off, with my youngest boy, I mean, they catch the bus at 7, he catches it at 6:30. I was still home. So apparently, we're not stupid or neglected as far as parents because they must have snuck off in the woods on their own before we even left.
You're supposed to know where your children are. Then if they both snuck off, they were doing the wrong thing. Both of them. And the first one to get a gun was your son. Because then they walked back to his house to get his. Right?
Yes.
So now let me see the dental bills.
He did pay me $59 already.
It's $160.
No, you gave me $59 cash.
I gave you $60 and a $100 check.
Yeah, that was for pain and suffering for Jacob.
Don't give me pain and suffering.
Well, that's what he did.
Well, I don't know whether he gave you money for pain and suffering. I'm not giving any
He
money
did that
for
on
pain and
his
suffering. $159 he gave you so far towards the dental bills.
Your Honor.
Okay.
Don't speak.
59.
Your father's going to get fed up with taking care of your nasty business, sir. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, young Mr. Deeks, you think your father had to spend any money the first time you got into trouble?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you feel badly?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were on probation?
Yes, when this incident happened.
You were on probation?
Yes.
Part of your probation that you're supposed to be in school every day?
No, ma'am.
No? Oh. You don't think that the judge, while you were on probation, had the probation officer look into whether or not you were in school doing the right thing? Of course. And you weren't in school, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that the first time you were in trouble?
No, ma'am.
How old are you?
13.
That's the first time he's ever in trouble with the law or anything like that, if that's what you're asking.
Should have taken away his BB gun at that time, Mr. Deeks. That would have been the first thing that I would have done.
I agree there.
Taken away that, his Nintendo, his video games, his television privileges.
That's why
everything
I gave the
except
gun to
bread
Mr.
and water.
Hickey.
Now, this estimate was December 27th, 2001. The total bill was $1,865. Was that surgery performed?
Not yet. No, he's got to wait till he's full grown, so they will not perform the surgery until he stops growing.
And was the tooth totally knocked out?
I have a picture if you want to. If you like
I
to
do.
see it.
Okay. Now, after the money he paid you, the total amount of the bills as projected by the dentist, $3,690.
Yes, ma'am.
And I believe that he is responsible for half of that, which is $1,845. And that's what I'm giving you as a judgment. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,845. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. This is case number 455, sorry. In the matter of Jenkins versus Moon. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Mr. Jenkins, the defendant is your former girlfriend.
Former acquaintance.
Did you date?
No, not really. I mean, we just basically just seen each other, spent some time together.
And it is your claim that she not only assaulted you in your home, but also purposely vandalized your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
When did this happen, sir?
It started the night of January 14th and ended up on the morning of January 15th.
And where did it start on the 14th?
I came to pick up Miss Moon from her for her place of residence at her friend's house. She had basically presented me this letter, basically stating her demeanor and her well-being.
What? I don't understand that. Let me see the letter.
Okay, here you go.
You went to pick her up at the place where she was living?
Yes, Your Honor.
What time?
It was about 8 o'clock, Your Honor.
Were you going out that evening?
No, she was basically just coming over to my apartment.
For what?
Probably just to spend some time.
And you would receive this letter before?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, clearly, Miss Moon thought that the relationship was more than just being an acquaintance.
Sure, Your Honor.
So after you read the letter, in which she tells you that she loves you,
sure,
and that you hurt her feelings, and that you don't love her back, and that you're not careful with her feelings, then you were taking her back to your house to hang out.
We had basically were discussing some confrontations of the letter.
You were discussing what?
The letter. And basically of my feelings towards her.
What did you tell her your feelings were?
I do not take love for granted, and I was not going to tell Miss Moon that I love her when I did not do so, and I was not going to string her along like that.
So what'd you take her back to your house for?
To spend some time.
And what happened when you got to your house?
Basically, we had continued to discuss some more things. She had basically told me that she had a present for me. She let me open up the present. I seen what the present was.
What was it?
A tape.
A tape, okay.
A videotape, Your Honor.
Okay.
Seen the videotape, and pretty much I knew where she was coming from once I seen the actual videotape.
So I assume it was a sexually explicit videotape from the way you're avoiding the subject.
I guess that would be a good assumption, Your Honor.
Okay.
I mean, I try to avoid that, but...
Did you watch the tape with her?
Yes, Your Honor.
And after you watched the tape with her, what happened? Look at me when you're talking.
Yes, Your Honor. We had actually became a little bit intimate, but it got to the point to where she was more like, no. Okay, well, why? What's going on? And she had priorly told me about how she had went to go take a pregnancy test that she was happy about, so to say, that she wasn't pregnant. I had seemed very relieved, but then she got upset again. It was more like, well, why are you so relieved? And I'm like, well...
And this was the discussion you had on the 14th?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now let's move it along to when you say she attacked you.
The discussion got to where she left the bedroom, and I followed her out of the bedroom. She continuously was loud, disruptful, yelling, cursing at me. I'd asked her to stop many times. So we got to the point to where I had asked Miss Moon to leave. I basically was fed up of her actually being very disrespectful. Ms. Moon actually taking her time as to where she wanted to leave my apartment. I had basically started removing her things onto my front porch.
So she said she didn't want to have sex with you, so you were throwing her things out the door.
No,
Is that...
that's not true, Your Honor.
Well, that sounds... I mean, when you cut through all the baloney that you're giving me, sir, you followed her out of the bedroom, right? Because she's
Sure, Your
still
Honor.
saying no. After you watch this video and everybody's all charged up and their juices are all flowing, at least yours were, she's arguing, you don't love me, I love you, you don't give back, take your stuff and get out. You gathered up her stuff and you threw them out the front porch.
That's not true, Your Honor. I asked her to leave my apartment because she was cursing at me, yelling at me, screaming at me, and also banging things on
There
my
had to
floor.
be something happened in between, sir. If she said no, 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 I changed my mind, you must have said something. You said, how come you changed your mind?
Something along the lines is where, why? What was going on? Why are you acting so different? And then she started telling me more things about how she had a discussion with her friends, how she basically had felt that I had never felt for her.
Well, yeah,
seriously anyway.
She was clearly right because you described your relationship with her as one of an acquaintance.
True.
An acquaintance is somebody, you know, you go in, you meet at a butcher. You say, hello, how are you? How's your family? That's an acquaintance. That's not a friend. Someone who is just an acquaintance isn't somebody that you worried that maybe the pregnancy test, the rabbit died. That's not an acquaintance.
It was a little more than an acquaintance.
Ah, okay.
Just a little more.
Let's get to the assault, sir.
Miss Moon had finally agreed to actually leave the apartment. And she basically, on my front porch, and she had basically let me know and indicated to me that she had left her glasses in my apartment. I said, well, here, just wait here. I'll go get your glasses. I said, I'm not going to do anything to your glasses. Miss Moon didn't want to hear that. She basically wanted to come into the apartment. And from then on, I had stopped her. And she had continuously brushed past me for the second time. Once she had brushed past me for the second time, it was the points to where I was basically holding her off with my forearm, like so. By doing that, she came past my elbow. This is the weaker part, whatever, and that's where she got to the points to where her head was down, and she had bit me right here on my chest and my shoulder area. Once she had done so, and she was not letting go, it was clear that she was not going to let go. I had needed to get her off somehow. So the best way I knew how at that point was to actually put my hand around her neck. I didn't necessarily choke her, but at this point I held her tight enough to where she actually let go. And once she actually let go, I threw her off of me, and she was basically on the front porch. Once she was on the front porch, she called me some obscenities, whatever, and basically had let me know, well, I'm pregnant anyway, so I hope, you take that, whatever. Stood there, watched her as she walked down the stairs, as while she's yelling and shouting, whatnot, obscenities. Watched her actually break my cologne bottles, which I have here, that she broke over my car. I have a picture of my car. And she basically was kind of like provoking me to come out there, kind of like do something about what she had actually done to my car.
Was she downstairs already when she threw the bottles at your car?
Yes, Your Honor.
How many bottles did she throw at your car?
2.
Okay, let me see the damage to the car.
It's not necessarily the best of pictures, Your Honor, but however, I can't point
They're
out.
all you got.
I also went to go get estimates of how much it would actually cost to get my car repaired. Here's are the estimates. And these are the bite marks for that night.
Okay, and according to your complaint, you went and were treated the next day at the hospital or an emergency
Yes, Your Honor. I was treated at Mount Carmel East in Columbus, Ohio. And these are my medical bills.
All right, Miss Moon, let's hear it.
Okay, he was supposed to come get me at 8 o'clock. The reason I wrote that letter is because he told me I will be there at 8 o'clock, and he didn't show up till midnight. So I wrote the letter because I was sick of it, you know what I mean? And we sat and we had a discussion at my place until we didn't leave until 1 o'clock. We got to his apartment. We started to watch the movie, but his VCR doesn't have any tracking, and we couldn't watch the movie. And I had to go to work the next day at 10 o'clock. He was supposed to take me, and I told him, I'm ready to go to bed. I just want to go to sleep. And he started asking me why, and I said, because I don't feel like it. So automatically that means I'm sleeping with somebody else. I became all these and everything else.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
I wasn't having it.
Did you see how quiet she was?
She was, I mean, if I can't sit there.
Did you see how quiet she was when you were testifying?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's how quiet I want you to be.
But I wasn't lying to her, though.
Just a second. What word that I said didn't you understand?
I understand clearly now, Your Honor.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brian Jenkins says, after an argument with former friend Tia Moon, she assaulted him and vandalized his car. Tia says Brian tried to strangle her, so she bit him.
And so I asked him to take me home, and he refused. I asked him about 3 or 4 times, just take me home, please, just take me home. He wouldn't take me home. And I started to get my stuff. He started taking it and throwing it. And I did forget my glasses, and I went back to get it, and he grabbed me around here, and I bit him, and he started strangling me. He was grabbing my neck.
That's also a lie, Your Honor.
What word didn't you understand? when I said, when she's testifying, unless I'm looking at you and asking you a question, don't speak.
That's right.
And so he was having me around my neck. He wasn't really...
Why did he put his hands on your neck?
I guess he didn't want me to go back into the apartment. He didn't...
Well, did he tell you not to go back into the apartment?
He said, hold on, and I was like, I'll get him, and he just grabbed me, and I was like, all right, you know, and then...
So he grabbed you?
Yeah.
And you bit him?
Yeah.
Hard?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And I threw his cologne. When he was throwing my stuff out, I was like, all right, so I threw his stuff out. You know what I mean? I didn't care.
Now, he threw your stuff out after you had bitten him?
No, before. And so I didn't throw the cologne at his car. I just threw it, and it landed in the grass. And after he started strangling me, he threw me onto the porch, and I gathered my stuff up, and I was leaving. And he started saying something to me, and I had the cologne, another bottle, and I just tossed it, and it hit his car. And I kept on walking, and I was halfway down the street to go to the payphone to call my friend to come pick me up, and he gets in his car, and he drives, and he tries to get me to come in the car. But the whole time he was strangling me, he was telling me, you know, I could kill you right now. What do I look like getting in the car with somebody that just said they were going to try and kill me? So I told him, no, just leave me alone. I'll walk. I'll find another ride. And he continued to just follow me. He came behind me, and he grabbed my book bag with my work clothes in it, and he grabbed my jacket.
Stop playing with that paper.
I'm sorry. And he grabbed my glasses off my face, and I kept walking, and he did this for like an hour. All I wanted was for him to let me alone so I can call my friend and go home. He wouldn't leave me alone. He picked me up, and he threw me in his car, and I got out, and I kept running because I was scared. I was crying. I thought he was going to kill me. He told me he was going to kill me.
He didn't tell you he was going to kill you when
Yes.
he was... No, listen to me! He didn't say to you as he was following you to try to put you in the car to drive you home that he was going to kill you.
No, but when he was strangling me.
Right. You know, don't embellish this story. Do we understand each other? To make a long story short, you finally got in the car, he drove you home, and he dropped you off.
Yeah.
All right. There was at least some modicum of concern about your safety at that hour in the morning, walking around by yourself, because that's why he got in the car to take you home, even after you bit him and even after you damaged his car, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay. Mr. Jenkins.
That's right.
You're a cad, but not a total louse. Here you have a situation where you have a young lady who is clearly more infatuated with you than you are with her. That's what you said, because you described her to me as an acquaintance. And clearly, she poured her heart out to you in this letter that you read before you took her back to your house. So someone who was a decent person would say to themselves, look, I really don't care about this lady the same way she cares about me. And I don't want to lead her on anymore, because clearly she's lonely, she's vulnerable, so I don't want to lead her on anymore, and I'm just going to end it. But you decided, well, as long as we both have nothing to do, we'll go back to my house. So you went back to your house, and with this acquaintance, you were going to have a sexual encounter, one that you had had before, something that a decent person doesn't do to somebody who's vulnerable. Better off just cutting it off and saying, look, it's not going to work out. I don't feel the same way that you do. So you're a cad, but you're not a total louse, because you didn't want her to walk home alone. It's in the middle of the night, so you, even after the attack on you and your car, I don't know what you found more devastating, the attack on you or your car. Usually guys find the attacks on their cars more devastating than the attacks on themselves. You did, in fact, get into your car and say, let me take you home. You got it?
I do understand, Your Honor.
You bit him. That's a no-no. I don't believe that you bit him in order to have him release his stronghold on you. I think that you got very angry that night, and I think you probably had reason, but you weren't acting like a smart lady. If you sense from somebody that they're really not interested in you, what you're supposed to do is cut your losses and move on. Cut your losses, move on, find somebody else that wants to be as good to you as you want to be to them. Do you understand?
Yes.
Fine.
Can I also have something else, Your Honor?
I would love to hear something else. Make sure I'm going to like it.
Okay.
Because so far you're winning.
I basically did want to say that I do have a permanent mark here because of the actual bite wound.
Maybe it'll teach you to be more careful with somebody's feelings. Mr. Jenkins. Got it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Car is $763 to fix. Your emergency room was $446. So your total bills were $1,209. However, I do believe that you have to be compensated for the pain and suffering. A bite mark is dangerous. And I am awarding you $2,000 on your judgment, which is some $800 more than the actual damages that you sustained. Have you both moved on with your lives, I assume?
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was actually pretty upfront and honest. That's the type of person that I am.
I'm only 19. I got other things to do with my life.
If you see a female get more like out of line, whatever, just go ahead and handle the situation.
I'm just happy that it's over.
Give her your phone number.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Reininger versus Lignar. Step forward, please.
Nurse's assistant Eva Reininger and her husband, mechanic Raymond Reininger, are suing their neighbors, landscaper Brad Lignar and his wife Deborah. The Reiningers claim the Lignar's dog, Sammy, destroyed their backyard.
Mr. and Mrs. Reininger, it is your claim that the defendant's dog damaged some property of yours. Tell me about that.
Somewhere around the second or third week of February, we found the dog wandering around our home.
What kind of dog was it?
Black Labrador. We saw he had a tag on with a telephone number on it. So we took the dog in, and I made a phone call. The phone number that we called was disconnected. I looked on the computer on a reverse directory, and I found the address. We went to the home. We noticed that there was nobody home. It was about a mile away from our home. And we had left a note that we had found the dog.
And you kept the dog in your house?
In our backyard. We have 2.5 acres fenced in. 2 or 3 days, we kept going back to see if anybody was there. We had also called animal control to let them know if anybody phoned in that they had a missing dog, that we had him. Finally, on a Monday, I had gone by the house again, and there was a car in the driveway, and I asked them if they were missing a dog, and Mr. Lignar said, yes, you have my Sammy, and they have a big fenced-in yard, and he said, our problem is he keeps jumping out. At that point, I said, would you like to come and get him? He says, well, where do you live? I said, about a mile down the road. At that point, he said, no. He says, just open the door, let him out, tell him Poppy's home, and he'll come home by himself. So I was on my way back, and then I saw Mrs. Lignar coming to get the dog. So we stopped in the street. The dog went and got in the truck with her.
Okay, so she actually then came to
She
the
was,
dog.
yes, she was on her way there. A week, 2 weeks went by. All of a sudden, we look in the backyard, and there's Sammy scaling our fence in our backyard, and now he's got a longer piece of chain attached to him. So he was with us again for a couple of days, and by now he had started.
Did you call them again?
Yes, we did. We tried calling, and nobody was answering. So at this point, I was starting to get a little fed up, and I said, this is ridiculous. They had told us the last time that they had gone to Daytona for 4 days, and apparently the dog was left unattended for 4 days while they were away. At this point now, I had already contacted the humanitarians who I work with. I work with Animal Rescue, and I work with several animal organizations. They were all willing to come and take Sammy if they did not want him. Now, we started noticing he was digging huge holes in the backyard, and he was digging out our shrubs. And now he was at the point where he was jumping over our fence and jumping back. Then we had a phone call. We had a message on our answering machine from Mr. Lignar saying, I know that you have my dog. I'd like you to bring my dog back. So we brought the dog back, and I guess my husband met with Mrs. Lignar and said, your dog has done several $100s worth of damages to our shrubs, our hedges, our fences, our bushes. You need to have some